is still summertime in the Rocky Mountains. It's going to be in the 90s today. Warm weather and that elevation means the baseball will fly. That happened last night at the perfect time for the Rockies. Now their fans will head in for a daytime matchup, the last one in this season series at this ballpark. MLB Live on Facebook Watch, landing in the Mile High City for a crucial divisional game between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field in Denver. And the Rockies maintain their lead. First place in the National League West this deep into the season. They have never won a division in their franchise history. They are walk-off winners yesterday. That means they do maintain that 1.5 game edge over the Dodgers, who beat the Reds yesterday. The Diamondbacks fall not only in the division, but in these wild card standings. They are 4 games away from a playoff spot. In the wild card, they would have to jump the Dodgers and the Cardinals. And hello, everyone, to the Facebook audience around the globe. I'm Scott Braun. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Many more joining me on the broadcast soon. So this is like a playoff atmosphere. Yesterday, for sure, a 5-4 victory for Colorado. Walk-off winners, and the Arizona bullpen has struggled. We'll get into that. We can talk about whatever you want when it comes to these two teams. Just talk to us. Conversations in the comments section. Questions as well. We'll address those throughout the game. If you just want to watch this game with your fellow Diamondbacks or Rockies fans, you can do that. And quiet mode on your mobile device, very simple to remove the comments and the reactions. Swipe right. If you want to bring them back, then swipe left. And this broadcast team is not just me. It features a former Diamondback and a former Rocky. So let's start with Josh Colmenter. 6 of his 7 seasons with Arizona from 2011 to 2016. Their opening day starter in 2015. You see that unique over-the-top delivery that he brings. We'll talk about it. A career 3.64 ERA, and that number could change. He might not be done yet, just 32 years old. Glendon Rush has 12 big league seasons on his resume. So he started with the Royals back in 1997. He pitched in the World Series for the Mets in 2000, and his final stop was right here in Denver in 2008 and in 2009. You can follow him at Glendon Rush 33 on Instagram. And Glendon, I saw some cool pictures on there, including some work with Ryan Dempster lately.
Yes, I did do a little charity work with Demp and had a great time doing it.
So he'll bring some laughs. And I mentioned, Josh, your career might not be done yet. Is that true?
Hopefully not. Still going to try to pitch and see if I have some left in the tank.
Okay, well, we're happy to borrow Josh for the day on the broadcast. Let's go through the wild first 3 games that we've experienced here. A blowout in game 1, yes, on Monday. German Marquez was basically untouchable. 11 strikeouts, 3rd consecutive game he has put together double-digit Ks, and then plenty of offensive support. The Rockies actually had some early opportunities squandered, but Trevor Story took advantage with this 2-out opposite field 3-run home run. He's up to 32 homers on the season, most ever in franchise history for a shortstop. He topped Troy Tulowitzki's mark in 2009. David Dahl put this game away with the grand slam, made it 10-2. Ultimately, a 13-2 victory for Colorado in game 1 on Monday. But game 2 on Tuesday, better pitching for Arizona. A little support early on certainly helped. David Peralta going to deep center field. I feel like every home run we've seen in this series goes to deep center field. So Arizona up early. Ketel Marte with a 2-run triple. He had 2 more RBIs later. And then Josh, Yoshi Hirano with his first career MLB save. Maybe he's the guy in the 9th.
It could be. They're searching for someone to come in and lock those wins down. They desperately need. And it could be him, but they're just trying to find any combination that works out there.
This was the final out. Charlie Blackmon flying out to center. Hirano locks it down, but they gave him another opportunity on Wednesday, and, well, a somewhat different result. DJ LeMahieu taking this pitch to right field. His 15th home run of the year. It's a walk-off, and Colorado gets the job done. 5-4, so they lead this series so far 2-1, 4th going down today in just a few minutes. The Diamondbacks bullpen, though, Josh, has been a problem. They're 13th in ERA since the All-Star break. They were best in the National League before that mark.
Complete opposite, especially guys at the back end. They're struggling. They're going to need those guys really to lean on these last couple weeks if they're going to want to get back into this race.
And Glendon, for the Rockies, they're a little top-heavy in terms of talent, what they have offensively, but that talent features not just one, but now in your mind, is it 2 MVP candidates on this team?
I think it is. I think it's 2 MVP candidates with Arenado and Story. Story is really putting together what we would call a fairy tale year. Numbers at the top of any shortstop in the history of baseball. 77 extra base hits. Now he's 32 home runs and 100 RBIs. So really on fire and partially carrying the team.
His Story also has cut down his strikeout rate significantly this year, yet he is swinging more than ever. He's just swinging at the right pitches in the zone, taking advantage, being aggressive. and it's producing results. In the National League, he is tied for 5th in home runs, tied for 2nd in RBIs, 1st in extra base hits in the entire NL. This is the production you're getting from your shortstop, and also leads the way in the National League in total bases. It's someone we want to hear from, we want to talk about with you in the comments section. And for more on Trevor's story, here's the 4th member of our team, Jackie Redmond.
Yeah, Scott, it was just a couple of days ago that Trevor Story made history, becoming the first shortstop in the history of this game to put up at least 40 doubles, 30 homers, and 25 stolen bags. No big deal or anything. Obviously, making history is special for any player, but I asked Story, who's coming off what he describes as a bad year, if this accomplishment in particular is a little bit more special because it comes in a bounce back year and proves that his story, for lack of a better word, is far from over.
Last year was a tough year for me. Definitely didn't perform the way I wanted to. So having a year like this, after a year like that was big for me. Put in a lot of hard work this offseason. Went back home to Texas and got with my guy that I've hit with for 10, 12 years. So. Just kind of getting the right people around me, being around my family, taking a break from baseball was huge for me, and it paid off.
So what you're saying is you earned it. You put in the hard work, and now it's paying off. I don't know if you know this, but there's been a lot of discussion lately about you in the MVP race, and from guys that are really respected in the game, guys like Ron Darling. What's your reaction to hearing people talk about you that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's flattering. It's humbling to me. That's a special honor, and a lot of really good players have won that award. And but I really try not to think about it too much. I'm real fixated on the team right now, and trying to win this division.
Well, MVP talk in just your 3rd season, I'd say you're doing something right. But let's talk about the team, since that is your focus. This team looking to win their 1st division title in franchise history. What is it about this group of guys, the people on this team, that you think makes this a special group that can go all the way?
Yeah, it's we have a tough group, a really tough group. Very resilient. We've had a lot of tough breaks this season, and we've responded in a great way. And I think that's probably our most important attribute. We know that everybody's getting their work in, and if everybody's getting their work in, and you don't perform, then that's okay. But if you're not, and it's not going the right way, then I think that's a problem. But everybody works really hard on this team, and we do a great job of keeping each other accountable.
All right, I won't take up too much of your time, but are you sick of the Story puns yet, or what?
A little bit. It's I think I've heard every single one of them.
You've heard every joke possible in terms of your last name.
I think so. If I haven't, then that's impressive. But I think I'll be hearing them for a long time. But that's all right. I guess it comes with the territory.
Guys, Trevor Story, very clearly a team-first guy. It's a character that's echoed throughout this Rockies lineup. Just ask manager Bud Black. He talked this morning about how well this team communicates, not just on the field, but also about what they're doing well and what they can do better, which of course only makes his job as manager.
Thank you, Jackie. And yes, this is actually a team that is not full of loud, lively players, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just very business-like, led by someone like Ian Desmond at first base, and Kyle Freeland knows how to get the job done all year long, the left-hander on the mound for the Rockies, and he is on to really an historic pace in terms of what he's been able to accomplish at home. We'll see if that continues against this Arizona Diamondbacks lineup. And Josh, this is a lineup that has gone through its ups and downs, but it certainly features some star power in it.
Oh, big time. I mean, you talk about Goldschmidt in the middle. You put him on any lineup, he's going to be the guy that stands out. But David Peralta getting the day off today against the lefty, resting him here in Colorado. But he's really picked up the slack. They've had Jake Lamb out, so looking for that left-handed bat. Peralta's really had an all-star caliber year.
And that trade for Eduardo Escobar, who's hitting second, also working out well for the team, as he's been their everyday third baseman since Jake Lamb went down. And this is why people fill up the ballpark when Kyle Freeland is on the mound. The 2.91 ERA doesn't even tell the entire story. In 13 starts at home, it's a 2.21 ERA, on pace for the lowest home ERA all time by a starting pitcher. Glendon, he has been fantastic. Why is he so good at home?
He is pounding the zone, getting ahead, using that devastating slider. Hometown kid, grew up here, was a Rockies fan, and I know he wants to help lead this team down the stretch to anchor this rotation and get them into the playoffs and possibly their first division title.
25 years old. It's his sophomore season. We spoke to his manager, Bud Black, this morning, and Bud said he was just firing away last year. Now he's pitching.
Yeah, that'll come with the territory. You kind of learn that the guys are going to adjust to you from game to game, at bat to at bat, and if you don't adjust, you're going to be on the losing end a lot of times.
And we are underway in Denver, Colorado, as Kyle Freeland delivers a first pitch strike to John Jay.
There he is, pounding that zone again, Glendon.
Right
That's
out of
what
the
he needs to do.
And works the outside corner against Jay. It's 0-2.
Definitely his strong side of the plate. We talked to Bud Black this morning. That glove side down and away to the left-handed hitter, into the right-handed hitter is where he loves to be.
And that's that hard slider right there. If he can keep it out of the zone, down and away, that's where he's going to get a lot of swings and misses. You definitely don't want to leave it over the plate here.
He has changed in just about every way over the past year, in terms of his pitch usage, in terms of what he does between starts, in terms of where he stands on the rubber. There's even a difference.
He did. He's moved over to that third base side of the rubber, which gives him a direct line to that side of the plate. You see he's living out there.
That's to Story for the first out. So weak ground ball gets John Jay. Eduardo Escobar coming up next, and this is a solid defense for Colorado so far this season. What a play yesterday by Ian Desmond. A lot of athleticism over at first base, Glendon. These guys can pick it.
They can all pick it, you know, especially everybody loves watching Nolan Arenado at third base. Guy makes one play after another that makes the highlights every night.
Yeah, you almost have all middle infielders everywhere. Desmond used to play some shortstop, so all those guys are going to be able to pick up any ground ball hit to him.
Now Eduardo Escobar and Kyle Freeland gets out in front. Comment from Brandon saying Kyle Freeland equals Cy Young.
Glendon, you mentioned that he's definitely in the running in the National League, that's for sure.
That's for Dahl. 2 down.
I'm just impressed with his numbers at home. As you know, it's not easy pitching here in the elevation in Coors Field, and for him to have better numbers at home than on the road is kind of surprising.
It is very surprising to see pitching here. The one thing that not everybody talks about is the amount of balls that drop in, the broken bats or the soft contact that has to play in those big alleys out there. And if they hit the ball, like you mentioned earlier, Josh, if they hit the ball over the outfielder's head, it usually goes out of the ballpark.
Yeah, watching at home, you probably think it's a normal outfield, but until you actually get out there and see the dimensions, yeah, you realize it's a lot bigger than most parks.
Definitely a bad park to run in for the pitchers.
Paul Goldschmidt fouls the first pitch back, and a few fans talking about Charlie Blackmon, like Anthony, saying, oh no, Blackmon got a break. That's correct. Dahl in center field, Parra in left, and Carlos Gonzalez in right.
Yeah, Bud Black mentioned he likes to give his guys some rest, especially after a long homestand.
Goldschmidt down the line. It's foul. This from Kyle. Love Iannetta being a coach out there to Freeland, telling him to keep his front shoulder closed.
Yeah, the little tips from the catchers, I mean, that's probably the most common one, I think. I mean, they can see everything, you're coming right at them. And I mean, most catchers would always give you that little shoulder tap, just stay a little closed or calm down or something.
Chris said that's a constant reminder for Freeland, so we'll see how often he has to do it today.
Goldschmidt on a weird couple hops to Story. Easy does it for Kyle Freeland against 1, 2, and 3 for Arizona in the first. We'll get to the bottom half of the inning in the first trip to the plate for the Rockies, coming off a walk-off victory yesterday, 5-4, thanks to DJ LeMahieu. The Diamondbacks at 77 and 69 on the year. Colorado checking in at 80 and 65, and they're going up against a very tough pitcher on the mound for Arizona. What a surprising year for Clay Buchholz, who gets the start with his low 2 ERA. And Josh, he's figured it all out.
He has. We talked to his manager, Tori Lavula, today, and He obviously had him and knew him a little bit in Boston, and much like Freeland, he was just a thrower, relied on that hard fastball and that cutter, but now he's really simplified it. Just went down to 4 pitches. Saw a couple clips of the curveball that he's able to use to get ahead or to get himself back in counts, and then this cutter, this is what he puts hitters away with. Good to righties and lefties, and that's really that, and throwing a lot of strikes is what's really allowed him to have such a good bounce back year.
Not an easy lineup to face. The starting 9 for Colorado, Glendon, David Dahl having a hot week. We mentioned how Charlie Blackmon is out, but the rest of the lineup is intact today.
Yeah, great lineup, up and down, all the way through. LeMahieu with the big walk-off last night. Former batting champion, Nolan Arenado and Cargo in the middle. Story, we know what he's doing. Parra with a left-handed bat. Desmond, Ionetta, a lot of power. General behind the plate, and it's going to be a tough task for Buchholz today.
Yeah, that middle of the lineup is as tough, and it seems like every year Colorado has 3 or 4 guys in the middle of their lineup with really good numbers.
He's a bit tardy, though, Josh.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this coming right from the bullpen to the mound, but you know, maybe it's something that works for him, and if it works, it works.
I think when you're around as long as he has been, you can get away with it.
Yeah, that's definitely something you don't see out of somebody making their first or second start. But maybe he just likes being really fresh and just having that feeling of throwing right off the bullpen mound and coming into the game mound. Most pitchers like to at least take a little bit of a breather.
Well, guess what? That's not Clay Buchholz. They were looking for him. That's Matt Cook entering the game to make a start.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I've seen this one before. We have received no word of any issues for Clay Buchholz. It looked like in right center field in the bullpen area, they were searching for him.
I saw a guy throwing, and I thought maybe sometimes the reliever will get up there and throw a couple. But yeah, this is surprising. I actually have a story that's kind of relatable. We had Joe Saunders had trouble getting ready for a game one time. And we walked down as a bullpen. They told me during the national anthem that I was going to go in and start. So I just hopped on the mound, started throwing as many pitches as I could, and went out there. And it looks like Matt Cook might have got the same memo today.
I think so. Cook with his 4.18 ERA, 39 strikeouts, 17 walks in 75 1/3. More of a pitch to contact guy, and he has had to fill in at times as a starting pitcher. Some key injuries for this team, including Taijuan Walker early on going down for the season with Tommy John surgery, and Robbie Ray has missed a good chunk of the year. But usually they would tell him at least, what, 24 hours in advance that he was going to start?
Yeah, if they knew something, yeah. So I'm really curious to see what and when we find out what happened to Clay Buchholz.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. Hopefully it's nothing major. Obviously they need him down the stretch.
We didn't hear anything from his manager about any issues or anything like that, so I'm sure it's a big surprise for everybody.
I think Josh and I have both been kind of in this situation where you're the you know what guy in the bullpen, and you're down there and can get a call at any time, having to hop up in the first, or somebody has an injury or like this, or you know, your starter gets in trouble early in the game.
And at this point, Matt Cook is serving as a long man in the rotation, so it's as if your starting pitcher couldn't record an out. You have to come in and take over.
Yeah, the nice thing at least is he gets to, got to have as many warm-up pitches as he had, so hopefully that gave us some chance to calm down, take in the whole situation, and not be as rushed. So it's an interesting development here for all the Facebook Watch viewers.
And also the good news, this is the best defensive run saved group in Major League Baseball, so he'll have a good defense to work with.
Yeah, and out here, you need all the defense you can get. A.J. Pollock, Gold Glove center fielder, and you want someone like that, much like the Rockies have in Blackmon out there patrolling this big center field.
First pitch gets past Ketel Marte at second base. David Dahl is never shy, one of the more aggressive hitters in the game. Connects, and he's a leadoff base runner.
And that's something we might see from both sides. If Freeland keeps pounding the zone like he does, we know Matt Cook likes to throw a lot of strikes. But you could see a lot of first pitch swings.
Matt Cook has not pitched in a while. You go back to September 3rd against San Diego, 1 2/3 innings and 12 pitches. That's it. We're now 10 days later.
That's always a tough one. You got to get your work in between pre-game and not getting the actual game action is real hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard. It's something you can't really simulate, no matter how much you throw off the bullpen mound. There's nothing like facing a hitter.
There's the first pitch for Dahl past Marte.
And just as we were talking about that defense, they get an opportunity to showcase it. But Dahl hit that one right on the nose.
And Arizona's defense has not been as crisp in the month of September. And that's over to short for Ahmed. And they'll turn two. DJ LeMahieu is doubled up. Ahmed to Marte to Goldschmidt. And there's two away.
Looks like he had even a little bit of a bobble there, but made a perfect feed and still got it in plenty of time to turn two.
Yeah, and Ahmed's reputation as a defender, I think this year though his offense is actually stepping up a little bit. The average is up higher. He's got 16 home runs, 60-some RBIs. Usually he was out there just for his defense, but he's adding quite a bit at the plate again this year.
And here's Nolan Arenado. Big home run yesterday for Colorado. He connects on the first pitch to deep left. It is way gone. Nolan Arenado muscles up for the solo home run. 1-0 Colorado.
And there's another situation. First pitch trying to get ahead with a fastball, and you don't want to leave it over the plate to this guy.
Home run number 34 on the season.
And there was no doubt about that one, huh, Glendon?
No, he got that one good. You know, he is just like a prototypical left-handed hitter from the right side. He loves to go down and get it. You know, that pitch kind of about knee high on the inner part of the plate, and man, he drove that ball out of here, almost hit the Toyota Tundra and left.
464 feet for Nolan Arenado, following up yesterday's shot, which was back in the bottom of the 5th. So he's up to 34 home runs on the season. Did you see that home run yesterday? That pitch looked like it was about a foot below the zone.
Yeah, I was even talking about it with yesterday's starter Patrick Corbin last night, and that's what Glendon brought up, a great point. Usually right-handed hitters don't like the ball down and in, but Arenado's a special case where he likes just dropping his hands down on those pitches, like you said, going down and getting it.
Yeah, he loves it. That one he hit last night was definitely not a pitch that you look back on as a pitcher and say, man, I made a terrible pitch there. I made a mistake.
To the right side, a charging Marte. And that'll sit down the side, but not before Nolan Arenado continues his surge. He is 4 for his last 5 with 2 doubles and a pair of home runs. It's 1-0 Colorado against a pitcher we did not think that we would see to start this day. Still many questions pouring in the comment section, like Daniel just said, what happened to Buchholz? It is a mystery. As soon as we get word from the organization, we will let you know what happened to Clay Buchholz, who was supposed to start this game and who has been one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball so far this year. Before we get to the top of the second, let us revisit the 2014 draft for Denver native Kyle Freeland.
With the 8th selection of the 2014 first-year player draft, the Colorado Rockies select Kyle Freeland, a left-handed pitcher from the University of Evansville, Indiana.
Obviously a very emotional draft day for Kyle Freeland, and this seems like a story of destiny. If you go all the way back to 1993 when Kyle was born, just weeks after the Rockies played their first game, there's pictures of him rocking a Colorado Rockies onesie. But if you talk to Bud Black, as I did this morning, he would tell you that this is about more than just destiny. He would tell you that Kyle has earned this. He said specifically, you know what, Jackie, Kyle is such a good listener. And more than that, he goes out there and he applies it. He's very coachable, and that's been really beneficial to his career thus far. He said he's come such a long way, and that was a compliment coming from manager Bud Black. He said, I mean that in the best possible way ever. He's come a very long way. We've seen him implement some of those changes, one of which to the delivery that you guys talked about off the top of the show. And I talked to Kyle yesterday, and he told me one of the biggest benefits of those changes has helped his stamina getting through a long season pitching here at Coors Field.
Thanks, Jackie. And now his first pitch of inning number 2 gets past A.J. Pollock. A true student of the game, and it's only taken 1 year for us to learn that.
That's what's really impressive. You don't see too many kids that come up at a young age like he has and make that many adjustments after only a year in the big leagues. Coming up last year and really just letting it loose and throwing, and now he's starting to refine everything, and the results are there.
First pitch strikes to all 4 batters that he's faced so far. And the hesitation that he brings has been special too. He always had it, but Glendon, he switched it before this season started to mimic Clayton Kershaw, and I would say it's working out for him.
Absolutely. If you watch what he's doing every pitch, he's getting to the height of that leg lift, and he's really sitting there for just a split second before he starts driving towards that plate. So he's got his lower half underneath him and using that to its full potential.
And like we talked about before, if he has issues with that shoulder coming open, this is definitely going to help him, control the tempo and stay closed. And it's obviously working out for him this year.
Pollock in the air, left center field, long run for Dahl, and is it gone? Yeah, it is. It's gone. It's over the wall. A home run for A.J. Pollock. And it's 1-1.
And that's a Coors Field home run right there. Off the bat, you think it's a pop-up. And the next thing you know, you see the outfielder's numbers, and you're just praying that it doesn't go over the wall. But for A.J. Pollock, that's the equalizer.
Right on target with your opening, Scott. The air is hot and the ball is flying. We saw that already.
No doubt about it. That did not stop carrying. Actually ricocheted off the stairs there. You can see it land. It's his 17th home run of the season. And now Steven Souza Jr.
Going back to Freeland and his delivery, if you lose that front side, the hardest thing to do is to get that ball to the glove side of the plate for him. So you're going to see those balls work their way back over the middle of the plate. And obviously he doesn't want to be there. As you see that pitch right there tying him up.
Yeah, you can see that against all these righties that Arizona's thrown up there so far. He just keeps pounding inside, inside, inside. And you're hoping, second, third time through the order, that's going to open up the whole other part of the plate.
Yeah, Ionetta's pretty much set up the gardening stool on that side of the plate, and it's just sitting there every pitch.
But lots of strikes thrown so far, and both hitters in both lineups are showing they're not afraid to swing today.
We're seeing early swings from both sides. Did you ever think about that when you were on the mound on a getaway day? It's an afternoon game. They played late last night. That you would get earlier swings than usual?
Sometimes. It always seems to be the stereotype. Guys want to get the game over with and get on to wherever they're heading to next. Same thing with when it was cold. Guys don't like to be out there a long time when it's cold, so they like whatever happens, they want it to get over as quick as possible. You probably know that playing some games here in Denver and in the early part of the season.
Yeah, especially when you're about 20 games out of first place, that might come into a little more play.
And the appeal to first. Steven Souza Jr. goes down on strikes. It's the first K of the afternoon for Kyle Freeland. We thought this was going to be Freeland versus Buchholz. We do have an update now. As you can see, the strike 3 pitch. Did he go around?
Looked like he did.
Yeah.
Yep. So word on Clay Buchholz, a late scratch due to right elbow stiffness. Now that hurts for today's game, a team that's fighting for its playoff lives, but also for the rest of this season and beyond. Clay Buchholz has dealt with elbow issues for most of his career.
Unfortunately, that's never a good one. You know, when they mention elbow stiffness, forearm stiffness, any of that, you know, really raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, you're hoping it's not a precursor to anything. Obviously missed the majority of last year, had surgery on that elbow, and you're hoping it's nothing that's recurring or something even new.
Up the middle, that'll drop for a base hit. Nick Ahmed, a one-out base runner here in the top of the second for Arizona. Nolan Arenado with a home run in the bottom of the first, matched by A.J. Pollock here to start off the second inning. And now Ketel Marte steps up.
Freeland coming right at him already. 18 strikes, only 6 balls. He's showing them right out of the gate today that he's going to be in the zone and going after him. Those are the fun days, right, Josh? When you have a command like that, you go out there and just live in the zone, and sometimes you don't even really have to think about it.
Yeah, you do like that. Sometimes the hardest thing is just getting the ball to where they can even swing at it. But when you can put it in the zone enough, now it's, can I take it out of the zone when I need to?
Pulls it to the left side. Arenado goes to LeMahieu, to first for Desmond, and that'll do it for the top of the second. Ketel Marte is doubled up. The Diamondbacks get a run thanks to A.J. Pollock's 17th shot of the season. And there's the home run for Pollock.
You see the outfielder going, and then there she goes.
David Dahl runs out of room, and the Diamondbacks even it up at 1. MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Scott Braun, Glendon Rush, Josh Colmenter, and Jackie Redmond on the broadcast team, answering your questions and addressing your comments throughout the day as well. So Clay Buchholz has been one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. I'm not lying, and we used to see that from him. You go back to 2010, he had the second best ERA in the American League, but we're in 2018, 7 starts before his disabled list stint, a 2.56 mark. That's great, but since then he might be the best pitcher in baseball during that time period as far as results have shown, and the Diamondbacks have needed it, Josh.
Big time, yeah, especially with Taijuan Walker being out, Robbie Ray missing some time. He's really come in and anchored that starting rotation, and the numbers speak for themselves. And that's what's disappointing is you're missing him for today, but who knows if you're going to miss him for maybe 2-3 more starts before the end of the year, and they really need those starts, especially with a guy that's putting up numbers like that.
Instead, it's Matt Cook. He'll go as long as he can, and then the good news is for Arizona, it is September. There are a number of bullpen members that are ready to go. The bad news is we spoke to Torey Lovullo this morning about his pen, and he said the problem is too many players slumping at the same time in the bullpen, and players that they've relied on all year long, like the closer Brad Boxberger and their do-it-all relief pitcher Archie Bradley, who can come in, bases loaded, nobody out in the 7th inning and work magic, but his ERA is around 8 in the second half of the season.
You'd have both of those guys going at the same time, guys that anchor the back end and that you rely on to get big outs or close out games, has been tough. You see the losses that they've had in the second half, several blown saves, and when it's going to come down to just 1 or 2 games, every game matters. It
does, and if you've got more than one guy that's struggling, it really is tough to kind of work around him sometimes and use everybody else in the pen, and you know, your guys that you use early in the game, sometimes you end up using them later on in the game. They're not necessarily used to that. Might not sound like a big thing to the average fan, but it really is when you wake up every morning and kind of know what your role is and where you need to be in that pen. That's an important part.
Yeah, we saw that with Hirano the last 2 nights. Tuesday night working out well, getting his first save, but then last night he comes in that situation, gives up the big 2-run homer to LeMahieu.
Torey Lovullo said he'll play matchups in the 9th inning if they do have a lead. Could be Andrew Chafin or Jake Diekman from the left side, and a number of options from the right side. He even mentioned Brad Boxberger as an option just because they're running out of options.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, as many wins as they need to catch up and to stay in this race, if you have to get an out from each different guy, you might even do that.
you've got to do whatever you need to do to win today's game and worry about tomorrow. That's really what it's all about. And at this point in the year, with where they're at and what they have left, they've got to win every game and go into every day with that mentality.
And especially like the last 2 weeks here, every guy out there knows that he's going to come planning on pitching every day, and you just have to kind of prepare and have that frame of mind.
Trevor Story over second. It's a base hit, a wide turnaround first. He'll scurry back. He leads baseball in RBIs this month with 15, 6 home runs this month. Just a nice solid base hit to get things going, and this is the problem for the Diamondbacks right now. Perhaps their 2 most relied upon relievers in the first half of the season, along with Yoshi Hirano, and now they've really crumbled in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, you see the numbers right there, the ERAs, and you know, both of them have had issues a little bit with control. And anytime you're behind or you're putting runners on, and then all of a sudden you have to challenge a hitter with a fastball, you guys in this league don't miss fastballs.
Gerardo Parra with the wide open stance against Cook.
Saw that at bat by Story right there. That was a perfect example of how good he is. The good guys can go that other way with a mistake for a base hit. He can drive the ball that way. We know he can drive the ball to the left. We saw a 500-foot homer out of him a couple weeks ago, but he's really an impressive player.
Last week alone, Trevor Story had a 2-home-run game and a 3-home-run performance.
And right when the Rockies need it too. I mean, you talk about the firepower in that offense. If Story's doing it, if Arenado's doing it, if Blackman, who's not in today, they have so many guys that can hurt you. And if they're all hitting like they are today, could be in for a long day.
That's a month's worth of damage right there. You know, if you go into the season as an offensive guy and you say, hey, I'm going to hit 5 homers a month, I'm going to have a 30-home-run year. You know, you're having a great year, and you know, to be able to do that in just less than a week's time, it's impressive.
Joey said Rockies easily with the best infield in baseball. Arenado and Story a big reason why. There's Story off of first. It's 2-0 to Parra. And now 3-0. A check over to first. Story is safe.
And Story's really able to do it with an all-around game. We talked about it a little bit before, playing shortstop in one of the more important positions up the middle, responsible for a lot of things that go on in the infield, to be able to carry that load and offensively. And he's also getting it done on the base paths as well.
Yeah, to think back to the Troy Tulowitzki days here, you know, it's quite a while back, but to look at him as an offensive player and the quality of shortstop he was, to think that the Rockies would have another guy following his footsteps that as good as Story is, would, you know, that probably wouldn't predict that, but I'm sure they're very thankful to have the guy they have now.
A brilliant 2016 rookie season, a down 2017. And Trevor Story is better than ever. Also last year he was coming off thumb surgery.
And it's not uncommon to see a lot of guys struggle in their second year. For one, the book's out on them. You know how to get them out. You know how to pitch them. Same with pitchers. You know what they're going to do. And so for him to make all those adjustments to come back and have such a good year this year, that just shows going forward that, you know, he could be this type of player year in and year out.
That catches the corner of the zone for Parra, who is ready to trot to first. It's 3-2. That looked good from our view.
Like a pretty good pitch.
Yeah. And of course, as a hitter never takes a pitch that's a strike. Every time they take it, it's always a ball, or at least they think so.
Is that in the rule book? Runners moving, and the pitch misses. And Trevor Story is safe at second base. But it's ball 4. Doesn't matter. Gerardo Parra to first. Runners on first and second. Nobody gone here in the bottom of the second. That was the previous pitch.
Never mind. Scratch that. Wasn't as good a pitch as I thought. That was out a little bit. That was a chalk strike.
And it ended up not mattering. He walked on the next pitch, but so many times you see hitters step out, you know, take their time, slam their bat down, whatever it is, and you can almost throw them anything and they're going to swing at it next time. But Parra was able to draw the walk.
Yeah, usually when you get the courtesy call on 3-0 for a strike, that at bat ends up in not good for the hitter.
Dribbler for short. Diamondbacks trying to turn 2, and they will. Ahmed to Marte to Goldschmidt. Ian Desmond, who hits more ground balls than anyone else in Major League Baseball, bouncing into a double play as Story moves to third.
And that's exactly what you want to do there as a pitcher. Try to get some early contact, get a ground ball when you're in that situation. The last thing you want to do is find yourself in another 2-0, 3-1 situation with runners in scoring position.
Glendon, were you able to coax players into bouncing into double plays? Was that something that you were able to whip up in the repertoire?
I did not have an easy time doing that. I was a little bit more of a fly ball guy. I used my four-seamer primarily all the time. I never learned how to really sink the ball that well, so I was kind of relying on hopefully a soft fly ball or hopefully getting a punch out.
Now Chris Iannetta with 2 outs and Story at third. What about you, Josh?
I was much the same way, a fly ball pitcher. I was never really able to get the ball to sink and keep it on the ground. I was always jealous of the guys that were able to do that or had just natural sink. They made it look so easy to just get the guy to ground into a double play. Played with Brad Ziegler for several years, and I swear almost every time he came in with runners on, he would get a double play, and he's up there in the league leaders almost every year.
We saw it the other day in this series. Big cut there from Iannetta.
Every bullpen, all 30 of them should have a Ziegler in their bullpen if you can.
Absolutely. And I think that's why Arizona made the move for him, and he's really helped shore up that bullpen, especially in the midst of some troubling times the last couple of weeks.
It's 1-2 to Iannetta. Back in game 2 of this series on Tuesday, Andrew Chafin had walked 2 consecutive batters. Bases loaded. Ziegler comes in and does what he does, gets the job done. Actually pitched a scoreless 8th inning as well. He has been the bright spot in the bullpen for Torey Lovullo this week. That misses to Iannetta.
I watched him at bat last night late in the game with him against Holiday, and it was a battle. It was every single pitch on the outside corner or 6 inches off, and they went back and forth for 8 or 9 pitches, and Holiday finally drew a walk. But yeah, he's really good at staying down there and forcing you to hit his pitch.
Now a full count to Iannetta, and also you saw about 10 seconds ago the graphic about Robbie Ray. That is true. Robbie Ray is going to join us after this next out here. We'll continue talking to the Arizona Diamondbacks starting pitcher into the top of the 3rd inning. So any questions that you have for Robbie Ray, get them over to us right now. And that's ball 4, so this inning continues. You have a little more time to think of some questions. Iannetta to first, and now Kyle Freeland will come up next. So questions that you have for Robbie Ray about the season, about his teammates, about the playoff race, about his life in baseball, we'll get as many of them over to him as possible. So we should have a solid 10 minutes or so with Robbie Ray. He'll take us through the inning. First pitch to center field. Pollock racing back. It's over his head. Easily scoring his Story. And Iannetta will be held up at third. It's a 2-out RBI double for Kyle Freeland to give his team the lead. It's 2-1.
Helping his own cause right there. I was just about to say, Cook really pitched Iannetta tough there. Didn't give him anything to hit with an open base. And you know the pitcher's coming up. That's the last thing you expect is a first pitch double.
Second double, second RBI of the year for Freeland.
And if you look at that swing, he put a really good swing on. I think the position players would be jealous of that. No Charlie Blackmon today? No worries.
Same thing that sparked the rally last night. John Gray with a long drive to center over the head and almost to the 415 mark, and ended up scoring a couple runs that inning.
Yeah, that was in the bottom of the 3rd yesterday for John Gray. Long fly ball turned into a double, and Arenado brought him home. Back to the top of the order. Here's David Dahl. Huge opportunity for the Rockies against Cook in the second. And that's to the left side for Escobar. That's what Matt Cook needed to get through the second inning against Colorado, but they do tack on another run. Thanks to their starting pitcher, Kyle Freeland. Looks like we'll have a good one today between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, but can anything top what happened between these two teams last year in the NL wildcard game?
And all the focus tonight is here on Phoenix, Arizona, as two teams with wonderful years in this very strong National League West.
Breaking pitch, high in the air, to left, back toward that wall, and gone!
Ground ball up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Arenado rounds third. He will score. Little cue shot up the first baseline. The only play is going to be to first. Goldschmidt gets the out, but Story scores to make it 6-2 Arizona. Driven down the right field line. Long run, and Martinez won't get to it. It'll go to the wall. Parra scores.
First and second. Fly ball, left center field. That ball's going to be in the gap. Archie Bradley, are you kidding me? He's going for third, and he's in with a slide.
Swing and a drive to center field, and this one is out of here. Back-to-back jacks. Here they come.
In the air to right center field and well hit. That ball is deep and off the wall. That'll score two. To second. Ball game. They're going triple crazy here in Arizona. LA, here they come.
That was a blast. It was like a movie. And Robbie Ray was a big part of it, a relief pitcher in that game. And he's joining us right now on MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Robbie, how are you today?
Good. Good. How are you?
Did you get to see that or just hear that at least from the wild card game that we were showing?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of it. That was a pretty amazing game. The atmosphere, that's something I've never experienced before.
Do you still get the chills when you think about it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they play highlights from it at our field all the time, and it still gives me the chills.
Let me ask you, just because in terms of today's game, we expected to see Clay Buchholz. What is everyone saying about him? Did anyone know that he wasn't ready to go?
You know, I haven't really heard anything. I haven't been up in the clubhouse to talk to him or chat with anybody, but hopefully he's all right.
Yeah, we just heard that he had elbow stiffness and isn't going to go today. I like your look with the shades, Robbie, by the way. So we're hoping that, you know, obviously this is just a one-time thing, gets it worked out, and he can come back and start within the next couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a huge part of this rotation, and he's filled in really, really well for when Shelby went down and then when Ty went down. He's been a big part of this rotation, so we need him.
2-1 Rockies. We're talking to Robbie Ray in the top of the third. Any questions you have for him, let us know right now in the comments section. It's 8-9-1. Due up for the Diamondbacks, Jeff Mathis, then Matt Cook, and then back to the top of the order with John Jay. And let's start off some of these questions right now. So let's go to Joshua. Was there anything in particular that you did to add velocity going into the 2016 season? And he also added, keep up the great work.
Thank you. But, you know, honestly, I think the biggest thing was my body maturing a little more, understanding my mechanics a little more than I had the years prior, just trying to get the max efficiency out of it. That was the biggest thing.
From Francisco, what is your pregame ritual before every game?
I don't really talk to anybody. That's probably the biggest thing. I'm really, really quiet.
Freeland gets the strikeout, his second of the day. So does everyone know that they can't talk to you on your game day? Yeah,
it's kind of become a running joke in the clubhouse because I'm pretty loud the other days of the week, and everybody says, "Hey, it's Robbie's start day today" because he's quiet.
Nice, Robbie. That's a good way to do it. This is Glendon. So do you do it exactly the same way you do when you get on a plane and you're in the middle seat and you just want to avoid those people next to you right away?
No, it's usually not until I get to the field. And I don't like middle seats. I'm an aisle seat guy.
Fortunately, you're in the big league, so you get to sit wherever you want.
Exactly.
This is Matt Cook. Kyle Freeland, by the way, has faced 9 batters. First pitch strikes to all of them. How amazing is it to you to see a pitcher like this on the mound for Colorado perform so exceptionally well in this ballpark? Because you know how difficult it is to pitch in Denver.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. This kid, he's got a bright future ahead of him. He mixes his pitches up. He's really good, and you know, he keeps guys off balance, and especially here, it's not very easy to do.
Freeland's 1-2 is in there. A called strike 3. Back-to-back punch-outs for Kyle Freeland, and now he'll face John Jay. So we get a few more questions in for Robbie Ray. So this one's from Preston. How crucial is chemistry with your catcher? I've heard that Alex Avila is a great receiver. Is that true?
Yeah, he's a very good receiver. All 3 of our catchers are great. And then we just picked up another one, Chris Stewart, who's really, well, he's really good at what he does too. And you know, honestly, going into each game, you got to develop a little bit of a trust for the catcher, and that chemistry is big because you got to trust him. He's got to trust you.
Bud Black told us this morning he's not a huge personal catcher guy because he wants to put whoever he thinks is best in the lineup offensively into the game, but it's just worked out that way, where Armand Marquez works with Tony Walters and Kyle Freeland pitching to Chris Iannetta for most of this season. So Robbie, this one from Taylor: does Kyle Freeland get your NL Cy Young vote? Good luck with that.
It's going to be tough to beat out Scherzer or DeGrom for that. You know, obviously the year that DeGrom's having, you know, it's unprecedented having a sub-2 ERA the whole year and still 500 pitcher. But what Scherzer does is pretty special on a daily occasion.
You might have a quick inning with us too.
Robbie, this isn't from one of the Facebook people, but how's your ping pong game these days?
You know what? We got a table in the clubhouse, but it's getting better, but it's not as good as it could be.
Off-season goals right there.
Yes, it is.
You play left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
A ball and 2 strikes. We'll sneak in another question with Robbie if we have time. Kyle Freeland getting through this Diamondbacks order quickly here in the 3rd, and that's a called strike 3. He's got 2 of those. 4 total strikeouts. And Robbie Ray, that's all she wrote. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Robbie.
Robbie Ray joining us on MLB Live on Facebook Watch. I'm looking for more questions. They're pouring in, but Kyle Freeland's working quickly, and he struck out the side there. Very impressive job by Kyle Freeland after giving up the home run to A.J. Pollock back in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, and Bud Black was talking about that when we chatted with him earlier today, just how well he's been able to work on both sides of the plate. And last year, he said he just kind of threw the ball and was always trying to focus on that, you know, inside to righties, away to lefties. And you see him today being able to move the ball around and spot up like that. And he's been tough to hit so far.
And they need him if the Diamondbacks are going to go on a serious run to take down the top spot in the National League West. Who's going to take this division?
In the NL West, you've got Colorado, Arizona, and then you got the Dodgers.
I love when teams at the top, and you've got to beat each other to see who's going to be the best and the champ.
Turner beginning the bottom of the 8th, and a fly ball to left. The Dodgers take the lead. Runners in scoring position.
Breaking ball, left center field. This ball is back, and it is gone. Wow.
It's gone.
Home run for Arenado.
Nolan's already been a master tonight.
I actually like this team better than they had last year.
Peralta sent it in the air to left center field, and it is gone. The Diamondbacks have won it here in the 14th inning. Home run, Goldie.
I think Machado's a perfect fit for the Dodgers.
It's time to get going.
It really is. You know, if you're a good team, this is the time to really go for it. And I'll tell you what, we're at the point of the season, we talked about scoreboard watching. Well, it's almost moment by moment roller coaster watching.
And the Rockies have the division for now, looking for their first division title in franchise history, also for their first back-to-back postseason appearances. But our question, which team will emerge as NL West champion in 2018? That's about as simple as it gets. Let us know if you want to also give us why. Afterward, I'll read a few of those during this half inning. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. Matt Cook instead of Clay Buchholz. If you're just joining us, Buchholz scratched with right elbow stiffness. Many of you have been asking as you've been entering this MLB Live on Facebook Watch broadcast, No Clay Buchholz today because of an elbow issue. So this is DJ LeMahieu, then Arenado and Carlos Gonzalez. 2, 3, and 4 for the Rockies in the third.
And we're seeing a guy who, typically probably comes in for an inning, 2, maybe 3. So he's going to get to see the lineup roll over, which is something he's probably not used to, especially since he hasn't pitched in about 10 days.
He's done a pretty good job so far, coming out as the emergency guy, and he's living in the zone and doing what he can do to kind of keep his team in the game as long as he can until they go to somebody else.
And he gets the strikeout. That's his first of the afternoon.
Yeah, and in this situation, you're just trying to give the team as many innings as you can, and it's almost a sense of pride in yourself that, hey, this is mine. Like, I'm going to pitch as long as I can until I have to give it to somebody else. And he's been able to throw a lot of strikes. They're putting the ball in play a little bit, but he's keeping things moving and keeping his pitch count down.
Yeah, really what you look for in the National League is coming in and kind of seeing where you're at in that lineup too. If they make a double switch or whatever, you're hopefully going to maybe get two or 3 innings, and your spot comes up in the order and you're probably out of the game.
Well, he lost this battle first time around. Nolan Arenado with his 34th home run of the season. An absolute blast to deep left field. His last 7 hits have all been extra base hits, 4 doubles and 3 home runs.
And you see everything's away this time. Away, away, away. They're not going to try to give him a chance to do what he did in that first at bat with that pitch down and in.
Yeah, I wonder if Story maybe asked him if he caught that one off the end a little bit. That was about 40 feet short of his.
Well, clearly he's a fan of Diamondbacks pitching as he connects up the middle. Nolan Arenado is 2 for 2.
And I don't know if it's something about the Diamondbacks or maybe it's just getting to witness it more often when he plays the Diamondbacks. But he gets so many hits, but he also takes away so many runs. If you watch a defensive highlight of his, there's got to be 4 or 5 plays where he's specifically robbing a D-backs hitter.
Well, you're seeing firsthand what these guys do. Pitch out over the plate that they can't necessarily drive out of the ballpark. He drives it up the middle for a base hit. Same thing Story did with that pitch a couple innings ago. Drives it into right for a base hit.
And JM saying, oh, Nolan, being Nolan again. Yeah, every year actually. 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. Now 4 consecutive seasons. With that solo home run back in the first, it was RBI number 100. Consistency, durability pretty much gives this team everything you would ask for from the third base position. As Arenado stands on first, and now Carlos Gonzalez is up next.
And to have 2 guys that young that can anchor that left side of the defense, I mean, that's something you can have that combo for hopefully a lot of years to come for these Rockies fans.
Those are the types of players that you anchor your team around. The D-backs have done it with Goldie, and the Rockies have done it with Arenado, and you add to that, and when you get that consistency, they go out there every day with the health and everything else being good and just dominate.
Cargo scorched it foul. Those 2 superstars hanging out around first base, Goldschmidt and Arenado, both scheduled to be free agents after next season. Obviously, there's plenty of time for their teams to re-sign their superstars, but imagine if both of them hit the free agent pool at the same time, just like we've been talking about Bryce Harper and Manny Machado all year.
Yeah, that could be back-to-back years of some big names on the market.
Those would be 2 large Brinks trucks being backed up to somebody's doorstep.
I would think so. And for as chatty as Arenado is, I'm sure, I wonder if Goldschmidt's keeping pace, because he's more of a quiet guy. And Nolan talks all game. Talks. He talks to the third base coach. He talks to the umpire the whole time. So I'm sure he's just chatting Goldie's ear off over there at first base.
It looks like he's keeping up a bit.
Did you ever have a line that you would say if you got to first base? If you got a base hit or a walk or something? Like anything to the first baseman or anything like that?
No, I didn't have anything too good. I didn't get over there that often. I tried to hit the ball in the gap or out of the park if I could. But no, it's interesting. You mentioned he's not that much of a talker over there. That's the position you kind of have to be all the time. You're always dealing with everybody who shows up over there. First, you got to chat them up a little bit.
Trevor Story, watch out against the first pitch that he sees. Among his improvements this year, his damage against off-speed stuff and this aggressiveness. First pitch, he's not waiting for it. 9 doubles, 4 triples, 9 home runs on the first pitch, and here's the first pitch from Matt Cook, but it misses wide, and that's also been the difference for Trevor Story. Strike zone recognition, he's swinging at pitches inside the zone, and he's laying off pitches like that.
Yeah, you made that note earlier that he's actually swinging more often, but he's just not swinging and missing. And once you have that strike zone recognition, that's what's going to allow you to have a year like this where your average is going to be around 300 and you're getting on base. And just a few of those strikeouts is going to be the difference between, you know, a 250 season and a 300 season like he's having right now.
Yeah, definitely the first other name that comes to mind is Javi Baez. You see what he's doing this year. Very similar, aggressive, going after everything. And you know, when they get a pitch they can handle early in the count and they barrel it up, they're going to do some damage.
And guys are less and less afraid, it seems, of swinging first pitch. We used to see a lot of guys not want to do that. They would want to work the count, but that's kind of gone by the wayside, and guys have no problem now swinging at the first pitch or being aggressive early on in the count.
I think you see the way in a bat can completely change. You take the first pitch, you're down 0-1. You get that second pitch you want to drive, and you foul that off. Now all of a sudden it's 0-2. Instead of just going after the first one, you're 0-1. So it changes the at bat a lot.
Cook is ahead 1-2. He has struck out 2 batters in this frame. This is well upstairs. A little chin music for Story. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Story had the base hit off of Cook in the second inning, brought home by Kyle Freeland.
Now you want to see if they might go down and away, run that one up and in on him and try to get him to chase something. Oh, right back in there. That's one thing. Cook's not afraid to throw that fastball. He's just been pumping them in there around the zone, and impressive thus far for a guy that found out he was starting maybe 10 minutes before the game.
It would be a huge sign if he can get past Trevor Story right now, because Story is 4 for 4 career against him with 2 singles and 2 home runs. The first ever shortstop this season with 40+ doubles, 30+ home runs, and 25+ stolen bases. It's quite an accomplishment for him, and that occurred on Tuesday. Runner on the move. Story in the air right field, twisting, foul.
And to think he has 16 and a half games left to add on to those numbers is unbelievable. And you know, to think of the names he's putting himself up there with, some from eras back, but wow, unbelievable what he's done so far.
Yeah, the amount of great athletes and players that have played shortstop, you know, for him to be the guy that stands out is quite impressive, especially just doing it in his 3rd, you know, full major league season.
Three-2 from Cook. Runner moving again, and Story clobbers net. It's gone.
How about it landed right on top of the one Arenado hit?
Some type of competition going on between Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado. Story with a 2-run blast. It is 4-1 Colorado. Home run number 33 on the season, 1 behind Arenado. Trevor Story goes long again.
And you mentioned what he did in that first at-bat, going the other way. Works the count here, gets a full count, fouls one off, and then finds a pitch that he likes, and he does not miss it.
He's not missing much. He really is getting mistakes and barreling them every time he gets a chance to do it.
How excited do you think he was when he heard, obviously you don't want anybody to be hurt, but that Clay Buchholz was suddenly not starting this game, and Matt Cook was, as Trevor Story is now 5 for 5 with 3 home runs against the starter, and then first pitch for Gerardo Parra into right center field. It's a 2-out base hit.
I guarantee you we would have seen Clay probably try and neutralize him with that good first pitch curveball for a strike. When you see all that damage he's done on first pitch fastballs and ambushing people, so it would have been an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think that would really help. I mean, this entire lineup has been rather aggressive, with the majority of them either swinging at or making contact with the first pitch. That curveball was exactly the remedy to at least kind of help them take their foot off the gas.
Story with more home runs by a shortstop in a single season in franchise history. Troy Tulowitzki held that mark back in 2009, and the home run distance on that baseball, 471 feet.
He must have got that one off the end a little bit too.
And when they hit him, they're not getting cheated on those at all. Anytime you can clear the bleachers anywhere, but especially here with that pretty big left field bleacher set to hit it out on the concourse.
From Kevin Larson in the comment section, Trevor Story, really good at baseball, people. Oh, we recognize it.
That might be a bit of an understatement there.
This is also a good opportunity for fans who don't usually get to watch the Rockies to tune in on MLB Live on Facebook Watch from wherever they're watching around the globe. Like Brendan said, Story is a beast. Tuned in just to see what the hype was about that I had been hearing. Wow.
Yeah, that's, I think, what fans want to see. I mean, you tune in to see the star players make big plays in whatever sport it might be. And today, you got a Story home run, you got an Arenado home run, you got 3 solid innings out of Freeland so far. So as a Rockies fan, you know, your checklist of what to do today to have success is pretty much all those boxes got an X in them.
And there's Desmond with the roller straight through. It's a base hit. Parra from first to third.
Yeah, the Rockies fans have to be extremely excited about what they're seeing down the stretch here. I came to the game last night, and to walk in the gates and see as many walk-up ticket sales as they had, and the atmosphere in this ballpark, they're ready for another Rocktober if they get a chance to get there.
Here comes Chris Iannetta. 4 hits in the inning for Colorado, highlighted by the Story 2-run home run. It's 4-1. Rockies looking to take 3 of 4 in this series this week against Arizona.
And a lot of this happening with 2 outs too, so guys are putting together at bats against Cook with 2 outs in this inning.
He struck out LeMahieu to start the frame, and then Arenado with the base hit. Cook fanned Carlos Gonzalez, so with 2 outs, that's when Trevor Story and company have been pouring it on.
Iannetta, another guy you can't sleep on. He's got a lot of power, real good eye at the plate, so you got to be careful.
And you remember last time he had 2 strikes at him and kind of pitched around him a little bit to get to Freeland, and it ended up being a mistake.
In the air, foul ground. Goldschmidt using his hand to block the sun. He's got it. And that'll end the 3rd inning, but not before 2 more from Colorado. I think some fans on Facebook just want to hear me say the distance again for Trevor Story's home run, like Matthew. He goes, what was the distance? 471 feet.
Yeah, you can go back and tell Arenado, you know, who's went farther now. Joke with him a little bit.
The competition is in full force, and some mentioning in the comment section it might actually take away MVP votes for each side. Story and Arenado with home runs. Also an RBI double from Kyle Freeland. That's how you tally up 4 for Colorado and 1 for Arizona. MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Scott Braun, Josh Colmenter, Glendon Rush, and Jackie Redmond. Really happy to be with you from gorgeous Denver, Colorado. About a 90-degree day, but a little bit of a breeze as well.
Yeah, as a baseball fan, you know, coming to a day game, you couldn't ask for much better weather. And you even see it might even be too hot for people here in Denver. You see them tucked up under the overhang, getting in soaking up all the shade that they can.
Feels like we're in a dome up here in the booth, though. Feels great.
Well, Bud Black is shaded as well, and he's watching his team off to a 4-1 lead. Bud, thanks for hopping on for a moment. Were you surprised to hear the news about Clay Buchholz, and how do you adjust when you hear about that?
Yeah, that was a shocker. You hate to see that, especially, you know, a guy that's pitched well, real well, you know, coming back from a situation in Kansas City and enjoying this contending team. Yeah, that was a tough one. But You know, we've faced Coke before. You pop on the video real quick. You talk about it amongst yourselves, hitting coaches. You know, it happens pretty fast, but information can flow rather quickly.
But Glendon here saw a couple long balls already today. We were talking about the day game and the ball flying a little bit. I don't think those guys had any trouble getting it over the fence. Those were up in the concourse.
Yeah, those were bombs for sure. Anytime the ball lands up there, that's out of any ballpark. And even Pollock, I mean, off the bat, I didn't think it was going to go, but I knew it was hit pretty well, but hit it better than I thought.
But thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, guys, thanks.
4-1 Colorado. Kyle Freeland back on the mound to pitch here in the 4th. Yeah, speaking of Arenado, he was actually benched on Saturday and wasn't pleased with the decision, but he said he wasn't hitting well. And he had been battling a shoulder injury since early August, but said it had nothing to do with his hitting, just with his throwing, the shoulder affecting him. As you can see, first pitch strikes to all 10 batters faced so far today from Kyle Freeland. And that's his first miss to Eduardo Escobar. But since he was benched on Saturday, Nolan Arenado has played 5 games. He's 8 for 17 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. I think they lit a fire.
I think, and especially someone like him, I think he wants to be out there every single inning of every single game. And I'm sure it did. And sometimes just that mental break can be nice. You just kind of get to shut down for a little bit, take it in, and then come back recharged. And obviously it's worked.
Yeah, I think anytime the manager gives you a day like that, I'm sure they want to fight it, but sometimes the manager knows what's best, even though it's not exactly what they want to do.
Escobar popped up, back into the seats. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You see all these quality pitches that Freeland's making are jamming guys. You see one foul ball after another, and the outs that have been put in play, a lot of them have been on that labeled part of the bat to the right-handed hitters.
Yeah, outside of the leadoff hitter and then the pitcher being left-handed, he's got 7 guys in a row that are all right-handed, and you see he's pitching them virtually the same. Really pounding that ball in there on their fists, and you see that's going to keep them from being able to get any extension, be able to do really any damage, and that's exactly what you want to do in this ballpark.
If you have a left-handed hitter, unless it's a superstar in your lineup, you want to keep him out of that lineup for the day against Kyle Freeland. Nearly untouchable against left-handed bats, especially in the second half of the season.
It's impressive what he can do with that fastball against righties. Really shutting him down, or at least this lineup so far. Pollock got that one, but even as we saw, he really didn't get it that well, just enough to get it over the fence.
2-2 to Escobar, in on the hands for Arenado on 1 bounce. Takes his time, and there's 1 out.
It just shows you how hard it is for a right-handed hitter when a lefty's crossfiring in there on those hands. They know it's coming, and they still can't get to a lot of them. And you know, when he loses those mechanics like you were talking about earlier, and the ball comes back out over the plate, that's when they, you know, when they hit him. When he makes those mistakes, they get hit. But when he makes his pitches, it's real hard to get it in there.
Yeah, and he's been pounding it in there over and over and over. But yeah, you're exactly right. If he flies open, all of a sudden that ball leaks out over the plate, and that inside fastball becomes a pitch right down the middle.
Just like that one there. That one he lost a little bit, you know, on the arm side away from the right-handed hitter.
And this isn't the guy you want to lose anything against.
See the comment from Brandon. Kyle Freeland equals Cy Young. Well, Kyle was asked about that. First off, he said his vote for now is Jacob deGrom. Second, he said it's a bit of a double standard that hitters get less credit in this ballpark, but pitchers don't get as much credit for their work in Denver.
I think just around the league, talking amongst yourselves, if you see certain ERAs, then you see an ERA in Colorado, you almost automatically adjust it at least maybe a half a run to a run, because it is tough to pitch, you know, half of your games in this ballpark, as you know better than anybody.
Yeah, the kind of gold standard everybody's looked at here was the year of Baldo Jimenez put together in 2010, and to have the ability what Freeland's doing and going down the stretch here where he could possibly be right in that neighborhood of numbers is unbelievable.
And it could be something with lefties. Jorge De La Rosa for the long time had better numbers in Coors Field than almost anybody, and he even had better numbers here than I think he did on the road, and was able to pitch here for a long time. So maybe it's a little bit of lefty magic that helps that out.
Yeah, you asked me that question earlier today, Josh. You asked me what it was like to pitch here, and I said I thought I was more intimidated coming in here as a visitor than I was once I actually got here as a home player. And you know, you get used to it, you make your adjustments, what you need to do, and go out there like you do in any other ballpark, and you got to make quality pitches and get outs.
Goldschmidt is making him work. It's 3-2. And this is a very dangerous hitter with 2 strikes. We've seen that in this series. Look at the home numbers, 2.21 with that ERA in 13 starts. He has 3 more starts after today. Goldschmidt in the air to right. And that's going to go to the seats.
Scott, I think most guys would take those numbers that he has on the road all the way across the board and be happy with their season, right? As a starting pitcher, you go out there and make 30 to 34 starts and have those kind of numbers, you're doing a heck of a job.
So his next start is in Los Angeles against Clayton Kershaw, and then he's back home for his final 2 against Philadelphia and Washington.
You know, it's got to be good for the Rockies to get him out there 3 more times after this, as well as he's pitching. And as tight as this race is, you're going to want him on the mound as often as possible.
Strikeout number 5 on the afternoon. He fools Goldschmidt.
There's that good fastball he's got. I mean, that thing, just from the box, it looks like it jumps out of his hand, let alone if you were standing there with the bat 60 feet away.
And that could be another part of what this whole transition, you know, that he made from last year to this year, the usage of that 4-seam fastball. He's really got a lot of carry through the zone. He's almost reversed his percentages from his 2-seamer to his 4-seamer this year, and you see that. You see a lot of foul balls coming off the top of the bat, a lot of guys being jammed, and you know, sometimes the best pitches are the straightest ones right to that glove.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're not going to be able to tell just by velocity, but the hitter's reaction will tell you really how fast that is. And if you see that they're not doing much to get around on that fastball today.
Pollock goes after one outside the zone. Kyle Freeland struck out the side in the 3rd. Now looking to retire 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Escobar, the ground ball out. Goldschmidt struck out. And now Pollock is a strikeout victim. Make it 6 for Kyle Freeland. And he is through 4 innings, giving up just the 1 run, and it's the A.J. Pollock home run. He gets the best of him this time around on the called strike on the outside corner of the plate. What do we think? Let us know in the comment section. Ball or strike?
I think that's right. I think Iannetta helped him out a little bit there too. Veteran catcher, going to steal you a couple strikes throughout the game.
Nice job framing there. And Mark says, who are the broadcasters? Curious who the ex-Rocky is. So I'm Scott Braun, Josh Colmenter, the former Diamondback, and Glendon Rush, 2008 and 2009 with the Colorado Rockies, with us right now. And we're about to talk to the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's going to get set up on the headset. I actually see him down there right now. Torey Labello, Arizona Diamondbacks manager, as we go through the remaining schedule for Arizona. 1 more here today, then they go to Houston. They're at home against the Cubs and the Rockies next weekend for 4 more games, then 2 against Los Angeles, and they finish their season with 3 against the San Diego Padres. And Torey Labello is ready to go. He joins us right now. Okay, Torey, what happened with Clay Buchholz?
Warming up, and you know, towards the tail end of his routine, he felt a little tightness in his right arm, and you know, you hear that when you're a pitcher. You don't want him to force it. You get him off his feet and get that thing examined. So we had guys to step up, and I thought Matt Cook did a good job. Just made a couple mistakes to the wrong guys.
Yeah, those are the guys you definitely don't want to make mistakes. Josh here. But the nice thing, if there is a nice thing about him not starting, is at least it's September and you got a lot of arms to go to in the bullpen.
Yeah, we do. We got a full arsenal, and we got guys that are going to get some opportunity right now. And you're looking at Silvino Bracho right now, who threw the ball actually pretty well for us several times during the season so far. So good opportunity for him to go out there and shine. It's time for us to enjoy what he can do, and I know he's ready for that challenge as well.
Torey, lastly, how can you guys get to Kyle Freeland? He looks nasty on the mound today.
Well, I think we need Josh to go in that special Batman tool belt we were talking about in my office before the game. That might be a good start, all right? So let's start there. You know, look, he's going to, like I told you, he's pressing that inner half of the zone to the right-handed hitters. He knows that space in there. As a hitter, we just got to be really disciplined and make it happen.
Well, you just gave us something to talk about in the bottom of the fourth, Torrey. Thanks. Good luck the rest of this one.
All right, boys. See you later.
Here's Silvino Groucho into the game, replacing Matt Cook, and he's about to face Kyle Freeland. Josh Colmenter, the floor is yours. How do you want to explain that one?
You know, sometimes you just have to celebrate a big victory. And so if you make a promise to your teammates that you're going to run some laps around the clubhouse in your birthday suit, sometimes you just have to make good on that.
It's a winning formula.
We spoke to Torrey this morning, had a great time in the manager's office talking about Josh's days here with the Diamondbacks and how much that means to have someone like you in the clubhouse when you're going through a difficult time like this as a ball club, because it's not just the losses, it's the late losses over and over again from their bullpen.
Yeah, and that's something you don't want to let build up or let that momentum go in the opposite direction. And I think most teams always have, you know, a couple veterans or a couple guys that are really good at just keeping it loose no matter what's going on, winning or losing.
Kyle Freeland can do no wrong right now. He drops a perfect bunt down the third base side, and Eduardo Escobar can't get to it in time. Can you do it any better than that?
You cannot. Key is he's moving down that line and laid down a perfect bunt, got on base again, and putting the offense out there to roll the lineup over, and here you come to the middle again.
He's 2 for 2 with an RBI double and a bunt base hit. Now 3 infielders on the right side against David Dahl. They will overshift him like they've been doing all series long. Hey kids, if you want to learn how to bunt, just watch that back.
They might show that in spring training when they're teaching the position players how to do it.
First pitch, Dahl to left field, plenty of open space. He's in business. Freeland rounding third, they'll wave him home. Here he comes, and no throw. RBI double on the first pitch for David Dahl, scores Kyle Freeland. It's 5-1 Colorado.
Yeah, I don't know what sports Freeland played in high school or anything other than baseball, but he looks like quite the athlete out there.
Yeah,
I mean, rounding the bases, you would not expect that's the guy that's towing the rubber.
No, he looks great. The only thing you worry about is that he doesn't get too tired, you know, going first to home on a ball like that and scoring. But man, I tell you what, looking at what he does here at home, having him be from, you know, a local kid, he's probably got his pass list full every day. He must show up here and he wants to put on a show for his friends and family every time out.
And it probably helps too, he's not fazed by pitching in Coors Field. I mean, he's played at this elevation his entire life, so it's nothing different for him.
DJ LeMahieu, first pitch. It's weakly hit as Eduardo Escobar will make the play in time. And moving over to third is Dahl.
I don't know about you, Josh, but those were some of the toughest outings I ever had, is when you're somewhere where you've got all your friends and family, and you know, you got the headache of getting 30, 40 people into the ballpark and preparing for your start that day, and those are hard.
That's the Diamondbacks bullpen this month. Through August, it was 307. Just everything unwinding at the same time from a number of their big names.
Yeah, and I think
eating some innings right now.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, you're going to see some guys get used in some different situations, like Torrey said, but then also you're going to start using some of these guys that came up in September that might not be ready or didn't expect to be used that much, because you're going to try to, you know, stay away or just give some of those guys down there a little bit of a break.
The infield is in. Nolan Arenado has a home run and a base hit so far today. There you go, 4 consecutive seasons, 30+ home runs, 100+ RBIs.
See them playing the infield in here, like we talked about earlier. There's no lead that's safe in this ballpark, so they're trying to cut this run down, keep it at a 4-run game.
Yeah, 5-1, you're not really that concerned, but you don't want to let it get out of hand. So if you can keep it right there, give your guys at least a chance to start clawing back. There's still a lot of game left.
Dahl on third after the RBI double that drove in Kyle Freeland. Jeff says Dahl is on the verge of breaking out, star in the making.
And we're seeing what he's been able to do today. I mean, swinging early and often, getting a lot of things out of it, but you're able to put him and Blackman in the outfield. As we see that home run right there.
464 feet of glory and exit velocity 108.5 miles an hour. A launch angle at 30 degrees. That cleared the seats in left field. There's a ton of rows out there. 1-2 stays alive.
And you just knew the sound off of the bat that was going to be something special, but then to see where it actually landed.
That's a whole different level of power when you go up there.
And then Trevor Story did him about, what, 10 feet better?
Yep. Back to the old Dante Bichette, Vinny Castilla days. Larry Walker to the other side of the field.
That's one thing the Rockies have never had, a shortage of slugging power.
Arenado in the air, and this is fouled off.
So as a pitcher here, you're kind of in a bind, right? You're trying to get a ground ball with the infield in. You got one of the best low ball hitters in the big leagues up there, so where do you attack him?
That's right. I mean, he kind of keeps throwing that pitch away, trying to get it off the end of the bat maybe. We'll see if they challenge him inside, but tough to go in there when a guy's swinging the bat this well.
Arenado again fighting it. And Michael Dobson said, hey, is it possible to hit a triple in this park? Oh, if you have not seen many Rocky games, the answer is a big yes with an explanation point on top.
This might be the #1 park to hit a triple in.
Yeah,
either here or that gap out in right center field at AT&T Park up in San Francisco.
There's about 4 good spots here to hit triples.
This is not a bandbox. We talk about other parks being small. Colorado has so much outfield territory.
Yeah, if you look at the space, especially right now with the infield in, if you look at the space from the infielders to the outfielders, there is a boatload of real estate out there that ball can drop in.
Arenado has fouled off 5 in a row.
Yeah, he's putting together a really good at bat. Trying to get that pitcher to make a mistake and give him a pitch he can hit.
8th pitch of the at bat from Bracho. He got him.
And that's a big out right there. Like we talked about, they had the infield in, but to be able to get that strikeout with a guy on third gives yourself a chance to get out of the inning with minimal damage.
Huge out. Now you realistically, with 2 outs, you've got 2 open bases. You can still pitch these guys tough and try and hold that 4-run deficit, where you're 1 swing of the bat away, but if you keep it there.
Now you'll see 3 infielders on the right side of the diamond against Carlos Gonzalez. There it is. In the air on the first pitch. Escobar by himself on the left side. Well, it's sunny this afternoon, but Escobar comes up with the baseball and a smile as usual from him. After 4 innings, Colorado 5, Arizona 1. This was a game that was supposed to be started by Clay Buchholz. Matt Cook takes over because Buchholz is dealing with some elbow stiffness. And now it's Silvino Bracho in the game for Arizona. Bullpen all day long for Torey Lovullo and company against Kyle Freeland, who has been on fire. Let's continue to talk about the starter, the ace of the Rockies so far this season. Painting the corners. What he does so well, Glendon, is never fire a pitch down the middle. Middle is just something that's not in his vocabulary this season.
It's not in his vocabulary. Second lowest in the major leagues in 1,500 total pitches. He throws the least amount of pitches down the middle of the plate, 5.1%.
So who does he remind you of with this hesitation this year that he has tweaked?
And he said he did that to try to model Clayton Kershaw, who will be facing in his next start, so you get a chance to see them side by side. But if you want to model yourself after someone, especially being a left-handed pitcher, that's the guy you want to do.
That is not an easy delivery to pull off, though. I'm sure many have tried, but Kyle Freeland is successful. And his fastball location last year against right-handed batters looked like this. Okay. Now fast forward 1 year later, right now, he's going inside.
And you can see that tonight. He's been pounding all those right-handed hitters in on the hands, and you see they're not able to do anything. It just keeps tying them up.
They're having a hard time in there. They get one pitch after another borne in on their hands, and they're not getting to them.
Just the solo home run, which definitely had some help in terms of elevation and the hot weather. A.J. Pollock just clearing the wall. Freeland has struck out 6 of 9 since allowing that home run to Pollock in the second inning.
So if you're an opposing manager, this is something that I always went back and forth on. You got a guy like Freeland who you know can get in a groove, and you load that lineup up with right-handed hitters. Is it better to have a couple more lefties in the lineup against him to kind of have them going back and forth? And I know when I was in there, if there was a team that loaded up 7 or 8 right-handed hitters in a row, I felt like I could get in a good groove.
And that's kind of what you're seeing outside of, after he gets through Jay at the top of the order, it's just righty after righty after righty, and he's pitching them almost the same.
Yeah, we're in that stretch right now. Starts with Steven Souza Jr. here in the 5th. Jesse Morales in the comments section. Why does this 4-run lead in Coors seem like it's enough? You're looking at it on the mound. In on the hands, in the air. Going to be a tough play for Desmond over his shoulder. Got it.
Great play.
Looked like a wide receiver running that one down right there.
Yeah, those are those ones you're talking about. There's so much room out there. Desmond did an incredible job going over his shoulder and catching that. Made it look easy.
And here it is again. Even to go back and on the side a little bit, he probably loses track of it, but just puts his glove out there right where the ball's going to be.
Big leaguers make it look routine. That's fun to watch.
And that's a former shortstop that plays first base for Colorado. They signed him to a 5-year, $70 million contract a couple years ago. He had never played first base before. They figured he can handle short, he can handle first.
Yeah, he's probably like, this is easy over here. I got 2 more inches on my glove. I don't have to go as far.
That was back in December of 2016. It runs through 2021, 2022 if the Rockies pick up the option.
And you see him just continually to attack those right-handed hitters in and down and in. And that's the thing too, is he's able to keep the ball down and on their hands. It's not giving them any chance to get any extension, get that ball on the barrel.
Yeah, third base coach for the Rocks getting a lot of action over there. Or for the D-backs, excuse me.
There it is again.
Story barely had to move to get the ball, but he overthrew it. It sails past Ian Desmond, and Nick Ahmed will reach for the second time today, this time via an error charged against the shortstop.
Sometimes it's the routine plays where you have all the time in the world to make that throw over there are the ones that the guys throw away.
Yeah, you saw it kind of squirted out of the right side of his hand a little bit. He got underneath it.
So here comes Ketel Marte. 1 out and a runner on second. And he goes after the first pitch. Story gets another chance, and this time nails it. And Josh Colmenter is going to step aside from the broadcast to answer your questions in the comment section right now. So anything you want to ask Josh, get after it. Josh, we'll see you in a sec. Scott Braun and Glendon Rush with you for now. Any questions for Josh Colmenter, let him know.
There are a lot of sore thumbs down there in that batter's box right now, Scott. He is getting in there on everybody on the right side of the plate.
This is Jeff Mathis. First pitch inside. It's 1-0. What we'll also ask for, if you're watching this game and typing away at the same time, are questions for John Gray. Rocky's starter is going to join us after this next out. So any questions you have for John Gray about his season, about his team, about the Rockies' push for their first ever division title, a franchise born in 1993, let us know right now. I'll mark a few of them down and ask them to John when we speak to him after this top 5.
You see Chris Iannetta going out there right now with a short leash. A couple pitches where he lost his front side. flew on him on the arm side, and he's right out there to calm him down and get him back on track. I definitely think somebody should go in with maybe a hair maintenance question for Mr. Gray. He's got some good flow going right now.
That'll be all you. Maybe that conversation on the mound just now was about the fact that Kyle Freeland, there's the flow from John Gray. Yeah, we'll get to that. It's a good point. It's a good point, Glendon. But maybe the conversation just now is about the fact that Kyle Freeland has actually not given up an unearned run all season long, which is pretty impressive.
I would say that's almost virtually impossible to do. Having that great defense behind you, though, and doing what he does, working quick, being in the zone all the time. They're on their toes. They're making plays. I'm sure everybody out there loves playing behind him.
And he picks up his defenders clearly. No unearned runs. We'll see if he can keep that. Again, how many times am I going to say in on the hands?
In on the hands. He's just living in there. And look, if your game plan is to be there all the time and they're not showing you that they can get to it, then he's going to keep going in there, and that's what good pitchers do.
Seth calling for 10 strikeouts today. Mary is on fire right now. I saw that first comment. I don't remember the name, but he goes, Kyle Freeland is a bad man. His career high for punch-outs, 10 of them, back on August 11th against the Dodgers. Doesn't get the call.
It even looks hard from up here, too. It really comes out of his hand hot and rides through the zone. That pitch was 92. It looked like definitely a lot harder than that from up here.
Well, he's sitting on 6 strikeouts so far today. 67 pitches into his outing. Payoff pitch to Mathis. Missed.
Another one he kind of came up and out of and lost on his arm side. He's probably got the adrenaline going a little bit, trying to punch him out there, and just lost it.
Christian Walker, the pinch hitter. And here's another timeout. Do you figure going over the game plan as he's facing Christian Walker?
He may be giving him one tidbit on the pinch hitter here, or he's just calming him down again, saying, hey, you know, get back to where you're at mechanically, get that nice little pause over the rubber, get your legs underneath you. You know, it could be huffing a little bit. You know, he did go from first to home on that play, scoring, and might be taking a little oxygen in right now.
There's the 27-year-old Christian Walker. So that means the Diamondbacks will move on to a new pitcher in the last of the 5th. Cook and Bracco so far. Torey Lovello having a long conversation right now. Do you think he's talking about the timeouts? This is the second timeout this inning, but this one didn't involve a coach, so it's not like Freeland needs to be removed from the game. I'm just speculating, but I don't know what else this would be about right now.
I think that's got to be what it's about. The only thing I can think of is that Iannetta going out there twice. Does that count as one visit for the maybe their first visit if he goes out there twice in an inning? Not sure the exact ruling on that.
So Iannetta going out there twice is 2 timeouts used, 2 mound visits. You get 6 of them. That's a new rule implemented this season. And if you do look at the screen that we have here at the ballpark, there are 2 mound visits used by Colorado so far, which sounds accurate.
Yeah.
There it is. So they have 4 left to spare. The Rockies deciding to use 2 of them here in this one inning. I think this conversation will heat up when we get to the postseason, because in the playoff past, there have been a number of timeouts used, sometimes 3, 4, 5 in 1/2 inning. That's not going to happen this year. So I'm very curious to see how teams implement them when we get to October.
That is definitely going to be a factor because
That's turned on, and it is a fair ball. Arenado is going to throw to first. He didn't have time to step on third base.
Nice recovery
Quickly made
there.
the adjustment, for the final out. Arenado was thinking about third, recognized he wasn't going to win the foot race, and then chucked it across the diamond with that powerful arm that he has.
Wow, threw off the opposite foot too. If you watch it again, throwing off that right foot, that's a tough play. He made it look easy.
And avoided a sliding Nick Ahmed. You also want your superstar to be healthy as the conversation continues here. We're getting to the bottom of the 5th inning. John Gray about to join us. Rocky starter who's ready to go. John Gray with us right now on MLB Live on Facebook Watch. John, how are you this afternoon?
Hey, not bad. Can't complain with this weather.
Yeah, and this offense so
How
far,
about
it's 5-1, and your starter on the mound, Kyle Freeland. How amazing is it to watch him take the progressions that he's made from last year to this year?
It's been a lot of fun to watch. I've watched him since day one, and just seeing his attitude he takes every day, and you know how much he wants it, how much he attacks the strike zone, how aggressive he is. I really admire all those things about him, and he's the guy that's going to compete every single time. I love that.
John, it's Glendon here. Hey, I watched your post-game interview last night, and you know what I loved about it? I love how much of a competitor you are, because I know it wasn't the outing that you wanted to have, but you kept your team in the game. You guys came back and won the game, and at this point in the season, that's all it's about. It's not what you do individually, but you kept your team there and gave them a chance to win.
Yeah, and it can be sometimes I can get self-centered and focused, and I'm like all ticked off about what I did, but you can't sleep with our offense, man. If you keep them somewhere relatively close, we're going to score runs. We're going to battle back.
Absolutely. One quick question before we go. What are you doing to maintain that big league hair?
Just taking showers regularly, just doing the best I can there.
Looking good, looking good.
Well, good news, John. We actually have John for quite a bit of time here. We're going to work with John here in the bottom of the 5th to answer some of these questions on Facebook, and obviously many questions about your look, John. I'm going to have to throw this one in since we're on the topic from Steve. He goes, John Gray, how does it feel to be the most handsome man in Colorado?
Oh, wow. That's hey, that's unexpectedly nice. I like that.
You'll take it, right?
I'll take it.
This is Jimmy Sherfy, third pitcher of the game for Arizona this afternoon. Were you surprised when you heard about the Clay Buchholz news? Because the whole team's preparing for a very solid starting pitcher on the mound, and then instead it turns into a bullpen game because of his right elbow tightness.
Yeah, that kind of threw me off a little bit. I was kind of expecting to see him throw, and I know he's been doing really well, and we were looking at a pretty good pitchers matchup tonight, but hey, we kind of caught a break, and we just need to take advantage of the situation,
So far, Trevor Story's taking advantage. A base hit and a 2-run home run. It's 5-1 Colorado as we talk to John Gray here in the Rockies portion of the 5th inning. So we'll take some more questions and comments on Facebook right now, like this one from Travis. Hey, John, how close are you all as a group, in parentheses, the starting pitchers? It has been a joy to watch you all improve and develop.
Oh, we're close. We are. And it's almost like a competitive thing, we're not like buddy like hanging on each other's shoulders a lot, but we're definitely like working with each other side by side. We're making each other better all the time, and I think that's the kind of closest we have together, and I think it's a good thing.
This one from Alex. John Gray, do you have a different mindset pitching at home in Colorado versus on the road due to it being a more hitter-friendly park? And I know, doing a lot of research on you in the past, John, you actually switch up your repertoire and your pitch usage when you're pitching at home versus on the road. Is that still holding true for you?
It still does, yeah. So I'm trying to, I'm still working on some things, but yeah, I do feel like you have to be more aggressive here. I know it sounds crazy because of the ballpark, but you do have to be more aggressive here. You have to really get in the strike zone and own it from inning one. I think that's the way you got to do it. You got to not walk anyone and try to keep the ball in the yard.
2 balls and 2 strikes from Sherfy to Trevor Story. This one from David. He goes, for the Gray Wolf, what really changed when you went down to the Isotopes and come back better than ever? Kept thinking about that day.
Yeah, I think it was just good to get a middle break. A lot of bad stuff was happening. I really wasn't in a good spot just in general. But You know, one of the things I changed and tried to make a goal was just having fun at the ballpark every day, no matter where I was at. Just going to have fun today. I'm going to be athletic and have fun playing baseball. I don't know how many days I'm going to have left of it, so definitely going to enjoy every second.
Trevor Story avoids the baseball. It's now 3 balls and 2 strikes from Jimmy Sherfy at the moment. And this one from Daniel. Will Oklahoma make the CFP again this season?
Well, they should. You know how it goes with them, though. They lose 2 games, maybe 1 game. It's a kind of disappointment season. So they're on a short leash. They better keep it rolling.
What do you think about their quarterback, who's going to be an opponent of yours in the future? Kyler Murray's going to play for the Oakland A's someday.
Hey, I watched him throw a football the other day about 70 yards. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, I like what he's got. He's talented.
This is Trevor Story waving at strike 3. Now Gerardo Parra's up, and actually we just had a question come in from Vern. Just how crazy is it to be in the dugout with Parra? He seems like a great guy that keeps things loose.
He does, man, and that's what's special about him. He's got so much charisma, and he's definitely a good thing for this team. He keeps the energy up, makes sure everybody's having fun. You know, and I think it's when you get your best results when you're in that kind of environment. So I think he's great for this ball club.
John, this one's coming in from Andrew. He wants to know who's got the better hair working right now, you or Blackman?
Me or Blackman? You know, I like to think I have better hair in general, but I think he's got the better style. I think that's just, you know, it's just him. You know, the mullet, the whole Chuck Nasty thing. He looks like he just walked out of the mountains, came down here, is ready to go.
I like your dugout look, though. You got the low cut V going, just kind of hanging out the shades. That's what the dig me day. You know, the day after you pitch is the dig me day. So that's
right.
That's your day today.
It is.
How much do you do the day after your start? Because I know Kyle Freeland actually made a change this season. He says he does absolutely nothing the day after. He just wants to rest himself and doesn't focus as much on strength training during the season anymore.
Yeah, it can be, and this is actually that kind of part of the year too. You don't want to kind of tire yourself out towards the end, but awesome.
And fisting one into center field for a 1-out base runner for Colorado. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's just kind of limiting and just feeling yourself out. Other guys are going to be different. You know, some guys like to throw a lot to make themselves feel prepared, but you know, you definitely want to overdo anything at this time of the season. It's you want to save every bit of strength you got left, and that's one thing I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to cut back a little bit so to make sure I'm strong for the next one.
Talking to John Gray on MLB Live on Facebook. Watch Ian Desmond up next. So Sydney sent us a few questions. This is from Sydney Hinton. They're all really good. So I'll start with, who is the biggest leader on the team?
Biggest leader, I would say probably Nolan or Desmond. You know, Nolan's just an awesome lead by example guy. You know, he's not going to say a whole lot, but you know, you watch the guy go day in and day out and do his work. I mean, it's very I don't know, it just lifts me up, makes me better. I feel like it's just a good thing to be around. But you know, you talk to someone like Desmond, that's a guy that does all his work too, but you know, he's very vocal, likes to keep everybody up, make everybody feel positive, and I love that about him.
And Desmond's behind 0-2 to Sherfy. Next question here from Sydney. Who do you look up to the most?
You know, yeah, it's crazy to say, but I think kind of Freeland. Yeah, I know he's younger than me and everything, but I mean, just watching him go about his business and watching him attack, that's the kind of attitude I want to take out there. So yeah, that's a lot I admire from him, I guess, and you know, I just enjoy watching him play.
Last one from Sydney. This one's my favorite. What wisdom has Matt Holliday brought?
Oh yeah. I'm not a hitter, but you know, you can just tell when he walks around. You know, it's definitely a change in the environment. He's a big dude. He makes the room different and brings the energy and brings the noise. He's a lot of fun to watch, man. It's really cool.
John, this one's coming in from Dan. Who's the biggest joker in the clubhouse, having the most fun?
Definitely Parra. It's got to be Parra. You know, he likes to give people a hard time. He likes to have fun, keep it loose. But it's always good, you know. He always keeps it within where it's supposed to be, and he's amazing at it. It's truly a gift.
He's got the stolen base too right now. So Parra in scoring position. It's 1-2 to Ian Desmond.
This one coming in from Andre. This is always a fun one because this is a great park to do it in. If you guys have home run derby, which I'm sure you do, you hit every day pretty much. For the pitchers, who's winning that? Who's got the most pop on the staff?
Marquez is an unbelievable hitter. Anderson and and Freeland, they hit some homers too. I mean, I think we all got a pretty good swing, but you know, those guys are really putting a pop on the ball.
You went like 414 last night. I saw that one live.
Yeah,
that was a bomb.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, that goes out everywhere else except for here.
It's possible.
John, well, we appreciate the time. 2-2 here coming up to Ian Desmond, and thanks for answering all the questions from fans on Facebook too, and good luck the rest of the season. It's been fun to watch you guys.
Thank you, I appreciate it, guys.
John Gray with us on MLB Live on Facebook Watch, and Ian Desmond keeps battling. We have seen some long at-bats from Rockies hitters today. They're fouling off a number of pitches.
They are definitely grinding on their staff right now, and that makes it even more difficult on a day where you lose your starter before the first pitch of the game.
And Josh Colmenter back from the comments section. A lot of action here on the broadcast. Just finished with John Gray. Now we're back to a three-man booth.
Yeah, I got drowned out by John Gray. So a lot of Rockies fans must be watching this broadcast.
Excited Rockies fans with their 4-run lead, looking to take this series, a 4-game set that began on Monday. The Rockies have taken 2 of the first 3.
And that's why they set the schedule up like this in September. All the division games give a team a chance to either make more of a lead or to get back in the race.
And we just lost Glendon Rush for good reason, though. Glendon's going to answer your questions in the comment section. So anything you want to ask Glendon Rush. 12 seasons in the big leagues. He played in 2008 and 2009 for Colorado. He knows this park well and still studies the game. Anything you want to ask him, fire away in the comment section.
Sherfy seems really concerned with Parra out there on the base paths. Picked over a couple times on first. Now again here at second.
The length of time between pitches right now is quite long.
Yeah, and that's something we saw Cook and Freeland doing right out of the gate. Attack, attack, attack. And the one thing that does as well is not only keeps the hitters a little bit off balance because everything's happening so fast, but your defenses doesn't get the chance to just kind of rest or relax or anything. They stay on their toes too. And defenders will tell you they love pitchers that just get the ball and pitch, get the ball and pitch, get the ball and pitch.
Off speed for Sherfy. He has struck out 2. Parra had the base hit, stole second. Now Iannetta. Ooh, and he's in. Chris Iannetta goes down on the first pitch. You can see Jimmy Sherfy upset with the lost location there. Did that get his arm first?
I'm not sure. We'll have to see a replay. The one good thing is it didn't look like it caught him really square and flush, so that's a good thing. You never want to see anything up around the head area.
Yeah, it looks like he's favoring his left middle or his right middle finger.
That's just protect mode right there. Try to bail out, get your hands up there. Anything to protect the face.
It takes a lot to knock a catcher out of a game too, especially when he's working with Kyle Freeland this afternoon. Here it is. So it does knock off what? The finger first.
Yeah, I think the bat actually. I think the bat actually might knock the helmet off. So definitely good news there.
He planted his forehead right on the dirt after that. That's where you see the spots on the left side. All the brown dirt that sticks to the sweaty forehead.
Yeah.
That is not from the baseball. So Chris Iannetta takes first base. Parra at second, and Kyle Freeland's up. Easy out, right? Think again. Freeland with a double that drove in a run on the first pitch that he saw in the second. And a bunt base hit in the fourth. He scored one pitch later thanks to David Dahl.
I wonder if any of his teammates have started joking with him about just going for the cycle. He's got 2 of the 4 out of the way.
I think he was going for the homer just now on that first pitch.
Yeah, he is not afraid to swing.
94 from Sherfy. Let's see if he goes with the heat again. Off speed, just missed.
And even watching Freeland stand in the box, he looks comfortable up there. A lot of times you'll see a pitcher standing way in the back of the box, maybe give you a courtesy swing, but he's up there looking to hit, and not only to do that, but to try to drive in another run.
Great discipline. I mean, he's laying off pitches that are very close to the zone right now.
Yeah, a lot of times as a pitcher, you think, all right, the other pitcher's up. You can kind of dial it back a little bit, just throw some strikes and get an out. You have to treat this guy no different than any of the other guys in the lineup.
The Rockies have 5 runs, but it could be much more. They're 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And that one hit was Freeland's double in the second.
You know, when you look up at the scoreboard and see 11 hits and only 5 runs, not that uncommon, but then when you factor in that it's Coors Field, really surprising.
Freeland strikes out. Jimmy Sherfy actually ends up striking out the side. 2 left on base for Arizona. After 5 innings, the Rockies lead it 5-1 on a hot day in Denver, Colorado. Jackie Redmond joining us right now. Hey, Jackie.
Hi, Scott. I think all of us would probably agree that the ceremonial first pitch in baseball is one of the best traditions, not just in Major League Baseball, but across the board in sports. And we got a couple of good ones this week. Let's start with NBA superstar Steph Curry, all the way from Japan, on hand to throw out the first pitch. And yes, that's right, he towed the rubber, he threw in a leg kick, and he threw a strike right down the middle. I mean, is there anything Steph Curry can't do? Elsewhere, comedian Kevin Hart hamming it up. Not surprising to anybody. Not as much luck as Steph Curry, though, although he gave it a solid effort and then took to social media after and said he thinks that his first pitch was clocked at about 250 miles per hour. I'm not going to call him a liar on the broadcast, but I think he might be exaggerating. And Scott, as I throw it back to you, I have to say my favorite first pitch of all time has got to be one Mr. 50 Cent.
Yes, Jackie, it's exactly what I was thinking about as well. Here it is, May 27, 2014. We'll always remember 50 Cent aiming for another borough because he was not in Queens with that pitch. Wow.
Yeah, I think in recent memory, that's got to be up there with one of the best ones.
And you would think, I mean, I don't know if he played baseball or not growing up, but I mean, he's a well-built human being. Maybe he has a little athleticism in him, but you can be strong without much control of the baseball. I think we learned that for sure.
Yeah, he definitely showed that.
I mean, just because you're a mega athlete like John Wall back on June 17th of 2011 doesn't mean that worms shouldn't watch out.
Exactly. That's almost like Rookie of the Year. The tendons have fused too tightly.
John Wall could work magic for the Wizards in the NBA, but hey, that first pitch is not easy. Do you guys get a good kick out of that when you see a mega athlete on the mound unable to toss a baseball? Forget about down the strike zone, just to home plate.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you think there'd be some athleticisms that would compare.
Well, don't pick on the broadcasters community here. Bob Costas back in 2014. All right, well, first pitch was a ball, second pitch strike. There you go, Bob.
Yeah, you just get a breakfast ball.
Yeah.
Like you're going to take 2 off the tee in golf.
So what's the most memorable ceremonial first pitch in MLB history? Let us know in the comments section right now. Most memorable ceremonial first pitch.
Just since it was showed a few days ago, but President Bush.
Exactly what was on my mind.
Yeah. Getting to see that replay and watched a little behind the scenes, just talking about he had a chat with Derek Jeter in the tunnel when he was playing catch, and Jeter told him not to bounce it or they'll boo him. And he said he felt more pressure then than almost any other situation in his presidency.
He came out there cool, calm, and fired a perfect strike. America needed it. That was back in September of 2001. John Jay spits it the other way. Parra right on the line for the first out. And two-hitter Eduardo Escobar up next. Monday for Escobar was a 3-hit day. His first since August 19th, or his first multi-hit day since August 19th. He's cut down on his swing a bit. This has been a better series for him.
Freeland's still out there impressing. Pitch count low too, and for as many strikes as he's throwing, as much as attacking these hitters, he just hasn't missed. Usually when you're in the zone that much, there's at least some pitches that can get hit, and this just isn't the case.
20 batters faced, 17 first pitch strikes. He's ahead of just about everyone.
Almost any pitching coach will tell you the key is to get first pitch strikes and then 2 out of the first pitch. And a lot of times that's a tally that they'll keep. If you keep doing that over and over, 17 out of 20 is almost unheard of. But no wonder he's having the success he's having today.
Escobar floater to right for Gonzalez. I know Bud Black would love to rest his bullpen today as much as possible. No days off this week for Colorado.
And in these games, those high leverage outs always seem to stress guys out a little bit more. So you're going to need those at some point down the stretch if the Rockies want to hold on to this division lead that they have.
And they are in a stretch right now of 23 consecutive games against division opponents. Next stop for them is San Francisco. The Rockies take on the Giants this weekend. Although this is a good time to face the Giants. Buster Posey is out for the year. He had hip surgery about a week and a half ago. And also the Giants are sporting one of the worst offenses in baseball. They're a little banged up right now.
Yeah, they sure are. But not often you get to say that it's a good time to go face San Francisco. But
to short for Story. 1, 2, 3. Kyle Freeland takes down the top 3 in the order for the Diamondbacks. And looks like he's got a lot left in the tank.
It sure does. I don't even know if he's broke a sweat even on this 90-degree day.
I think the only time he broke a sweat was when he was hustling around the base paths.
I think so too.
That's a 7-pitch inning in the 6th for Kyle Freeland.
And not just that, but to go through 1, 2, and 3 in the order too in just 7 pitches.
So for Colorado, their lead is 5-1. Their bullpen has actually been in a really good stretch right now. They've won 8 of 11. Their pen during that time has an ERA south of 3. For Arizona, they are slumping from the bullpen at the wrong time.
Bellino out there to break up the town meeting, and here we go with Bradley and Kemp, 2 on and 1 out. Kemp hits a fly ball deep to center field, and the Dodgers have the lead. The winning run at second. Kemp hits a fly ball deep to left center field, and it's off the wall. The Dodgers walk it off. There's a bullet down the line and fair. It's an RBI triple. And a 5-3 Atlanta lead. 3-2 to enter Inciarte is hit in the air deep to right field. And gone. Fly ball deep right field. And the Rockies walk it off.
Well, the Diamondbacks have lost 13 of their last 19 games, and their bullpen during that time is an ERA close to 6, and so now they're 3.5 games back in the division, 4 games out of a wild card spot. The leaders in the division, Nolan Arenado and the Colorado Rockies, by 1.5 games. They entered June 28th, a season high 8 games back. And the Dodgers are still chasing Colorado, 1.5 games away. Entered May 17th, the season high 10 games under 500. Remember the start for the Los Angeles Dodgers? We were ready to bury them a month and a half into the season. That was a mistake.
For some reason, they're able to run off these stretches. So last year, a couple years ago, they had that unbelievable 50-game stretch, one of the best in baseball. And so I guess they don't really concerned about however they start, it's however they finish.
There's no doubt you want to be hot in late August and September, not in April.
It's a little dribbler off the bat of Dahl. It's going to be a tough play, and it's made. Jeff Mathis gets the job done for Arizona. There's one down. So this is what we're working with in the Diamondbacks fan group. Where do you think the Diamondbacks will end the season? And 56% are very optimistic that the team is not just going to make the postseason, they're going to win the National League West. So only a small few actually think it's a wild card chance at this point. That's actually being realistic because they do have a couple teams to hop over, and their wild card deficit is greater than their divisional deficit right now. But these are the games you need to win within your division.
Especially, and with the games that they have remaining, not only in the division, but they have to play, you know, 2 other division leading teams in the Astros and the Cubs. So the road's not easy for them to get to that division title.
Going the other way, and a base hit falling for DJ LeMahieu. That's where many of his baseballs land, except yesterday he went an extra 100 feet over the tall wall. The Bridge barrier, they call it in right field, after their general manager. They extended the wall there in right field a couple seasons ago. It was all good for DJ LeMahieu yesterday. One of the bigger hits you'll see all season for Colorado. His 15th home run of the year. He's putting the baseball in the air more this season than ever before, and the results are there in the power department. He has gone through some injuries. 3 disabled list stints so far this year for LeMahieu. So he's on for Arenado.
And that's what he's out there doing, hitting in the 2 spot in the lineup, get on base and give these guys coming up a chance to drive them in.
DJ's going to be a free agent after this season. He plays Gold Glove defense. Power numbers coming up. Yes, injury bug biting him a few times this season, but I'm sure he's on the radar of many ball clubs for the wintertime.
Ball clubs for sure. I think a lot of fans, probably outside of the Denver area, don't know much about him or how valuable he is to a team. But he's been out here and put up very quiet but very, very good years. He's had a couple years where he hit close to 330. I think he won the batting title a couple years ago, and I think that's something most fans probably don't know.
There's going to be plenty of suitors out there that would like to have him.
Oh yeah. Or if you're the Rockies, if you can keep him, Story, and Arenado together for as long as you can, and you just don't have to worry about your infield at all.
I think that, I was going to say, I think that's one of the hardest things to do now in baseball is to sustain, you know, a winning franchise over a long period of time. You see teams make a run at it for a year or two and then they're off, and you know, to go out there and do it year in and year out is really a difficult task.
That's Kyle Freeland in the dugout. Looks like he was working on his left calf and now stretching out his calves. Strike 3, Arenado is down. 2 away. Carlos Gonzalez coming up next.
That's the thing you always worry about when you see the pitchers running the bases, right? Even the inning after he scored from first, he was a little bit wild and mechanically wasn't as sound as he was earlier in the game.
And anytime the pitcher does anything even slightly out of the norm, touches an arm, anything, panic button goes off. What's going on? And that could just be a case where he just wanted to get a little bit of extra loose, move around a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you're in the Rocks dugout and you've got 6 complete innings from him already, if there's, you know, half a fingernail falling off, I think they're going to be as careful as they can with what they have ahead of them.
Sherfy is making sure he keeps tabs on the runners over there. He's not shy to pick off.
He takes his time.
Yeah.
Here's another try.
They would always say the human rain delay. I'm sure you heard that with guys that took their time, worked slow, but thank goodness we don't have a cloud in the sky here, so we don't have to worry about that.
Clay Buchholz was supposed to start this game. He would fit under that category in the past. Oh, I think he got him. He did. Persistence from Jimmy Sherfy working on DJ LeMahieu.
They always say he'll never throw over 3 times in a row, right?
Yeah, I think most first base coaches will do that. All right, he throws over twice. now if you want to take a chance at a stolen base, this is your chance. Because you're right, hardly ever does that happen.
He caught him easily. A few hops from LeMahieu towards second, and Jimmy Sherfy gets out of the inning facing the minimum 3 batters. Just the base hit from LeMahieu, but erased there as he's picked off. And we take you to the 7th inning, and Kyle Freeland is back on the mound for Colorado. So we'll see how that cap is working. So what can Kyle Freeland do, especially when he's in Colorado? He can pitch very well, working both sides of the plate. And he's up to 6 strikeouts on the day. But this is the X factor today.
Yeah, you think, okay, he hits the double, but then he comes up in his next at bat, and you don't think you're not going to see this coming at all.
And look at him move along the bases. Sprinting home, sliding in. He was moving so quickly. The Diamondbacks didn't continue the relay. They decided not to throw home. So, Cy Young candidates, let's get to this, shall we? DeGrom, Scherzer, Nola have been talked about all year in their own category, but are we doing a disservice to the candidates by not talking about Kyle Freeland and Patrick Corbin, who both pitch in very difficult ballparks? That bottom statistic is one to pay attention to. It's called ERA+. The only difference is it adjusts for the league and the ballpark. So, for example, if you pitch in a difficult ballpark, like Kyle Freeland does, you're going to raise up. He's at 160. He's close to Aaron Nola. Max Scherzer has a sizable lead there, and Jacob deGrom is in another category. But it's worth mentioning Kyle Freeland in this conversation, isn't it?
I think absolutely. I mean, just what we're witnessing here today. He's been able to keep this pretty good D-backs lineup completely at bay. I mean, outside of that Pollock home run, they really haven't even hit a ball hard.
Yeah, and the other subject that always comes up is who are these guys pitching against down the stretch, right? In a playoff run. Not to take anything away from the other guys, but you know, he's doing it for a chance to win the division here against some tough matchups.
That ERA+ that we showed also is heading into today. So he's creeping up even higher. You want to raise higher, so he's probably well into the 160s, close to Aaron Nola's 173 mark. And now working against A.J. Pollock. The lone blemish on his account today. Pollock with that home run back in the 2nd. Then he struck him out next time around. That was in the 4th. That's actually the last punch out we've seen from Kyle Freeland. Pollock making contact for Arenado in stride. One gone.
Yeah, he's really been using his defense. He had that stretch right there where he struck out, you know, 4 out of 5 or 6 hitters, but since then, he's telling him to put the ball in play, and the defense is making all the plays.
A lot of weak contact. His strike ratio right now is staggering. To think that he is this deep into the game and only thrown 19 balls out of 78 pitches. So I think any pitcher and any pitching coach and manager would love to have that guy on the mound any day.
Steven Souza Jr. going after the first pitch. Dahl racing back to the track. Now against the wall. It's off the wall. He couldn't handle it. And Souza Jr. is going to cruise into third base with a 1-out triple.
I didn't think he hit that ball that well. It carried pretty good.
Yeah, it was very similar to that ball that Pollock hit. And just Dahl had to keep drifting. The next thing you know, it's off the wall.
Fastball in, got in on him a little bit, but not enough to.
I think Dahl would have been able to make that play, but got a little. D-backs got a little help from the still sign out there.
Yeah, he was a little turned around. He was just wasn't that high up the wall. It was just he was about 10 feet to the right.
Souza Jr. was 0 for his last 22. He breaks the slump. And he's positioned at third for Nick Ahmed.
And that'd be good for the D-backs if he can get hot these last 2.5 weeks. Give them another option in the middle of the lineup once you get through Peralta and Pollock and Goldschmidt.
It's a good thing he didn't hurt anything there. That's a little tough collision with the wall. You worry about something getting jammed up in there.
That ball showing us again, this is just about a perfect day for hitters. You have 90 degrees. You're in Colorado. And the wind is blowing out, which we've seen a few times now.
great has Chris Ionetta been? That's the 3rd time out there. Keep him under control, get him calmed down, and right back on track. And he does it with a short leash, it looks like.
Timeout granted to Ahmed.
And that has to be great for these young Rockies pitchers to have a veteran catcher, someone who's been around for a long time, knows exactly what they're going through, how to handle them. Really has to help make it easier for them when they're out on the mound.
Line to left field. It's a base hit, and it's going to score Souza Jr. It gets past Parra. So heading to second base safely is Nick Ahmed with the RBI double. It's 5-2. Did he have a chance to cut off that baseball?
It looked like it. Right off the bat, it looked like he was going to play it on a hop. I don't know if he just underestimated how hard it was hit, but he's going to score the run either way. But if you can keep that guy at first base, gives your pitcher a chance to get a double play and get out of the inning.
Looks like they're going out to check on Freeland. You got the manager and the trainer out there.
And Kyle Freeland's day is done after 82 pitches. Well, he was favoring the calf in the dugout. It might have been barking in this half inning. His stuff wasn't quite as crisp.
Probably the best walk in baseball, right, as a pitcher, when you have an outing like that and you get to walk from the mound to the dugout mid-inning and have a standing ovation.
Yeah, especially in front of your home crowd. And they definitely rewarded him for his performance today.
So Yency Almonte will replace Kyle Freeland. It's 5-2. Rockies on top of the Diamondbacks here on MLB Live on Facebook Watch. And you have a runner at second and Nick Ahmed. Already 1 run in for Arizona in this half inning. Hey, follow the race to the postseason on MLB.tv for $25.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game. Plus, get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this limited-time offer. And the MLB At Bat mobile app brings every baseball moment to your favorite devices. Catch every moment with features such as the MLB.tv Game of the Day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. Ketel Marte up next. And this is Yency Almonte. Looks like Bud Black and Kyle Freeland are still having a conversation about the calf. And do you think this also has to do with preservation? A conversation like this, hey, we're in the division lead. You were great today. We need you for the next few weeks and then hopefully for the entire month of October.
I think absolutely that's what that conversation's about. I guarantee you Bud was saying, hey, you did what you need to do for us today, and take the rest of the day off and get ready for your next one.
Have either of you ever dealt with a calf injury? Only because I've covered players that have experienced calf tightness or eventually even a further injury, like Josh Donaldson experienced a calf issue for most of this year. I remember Ryan Braun at one point in his career saying, wow, the calf is actually a really dangerous injury in that it's really difficult to know exactly if you're good to go again, and if you're not, you can set yourself back. It seems like such a small part of the body, but it's very important.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you don't realize how much you use it or anything until something happens to it. But especially as a pitcher, if you're either planting or pushing off with that, and you're going to feel that every time you throw a pitch, and that's going to take away from your effectiveness, and obviously try to get him out of the game. And it doesn't seem like it's that serious, so they would have probably taken him in and started working on him right away. But definitely want him for those last 3 starts that he has.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is aggravate it even more on 1 or 2 or 3 more hitters he faces. You know, it's perfect time to get him out and make sure nothing gets worse.
And see if young Yency Almonte can continue to impress, which he has done so far this season for Colorado in limited work. Just under 13 innings. It's his 12th career appearance. This is his rookie campaign. Ketel Marte hit into a double play in the second, and then a ground out to short back in the fifth. He had a big day a couple games ago. Tuesday, in a 6-3 victory, he drove in 4 of the runs. And then yesterday, not in the starting lineup, as Daniel Descalso has been stealing a lot of playing time from him. Does that bother you? 4 RBIs, have a seat, and I know we see it all the time now. And then he starts again today against the left-hander originally in Kyle Freeland. And there he is on Facebook. Fans getting a shot with Ketel Marte. That's from the Arizona Diamondbacks fan group. He punishes that baseball, and it's off the wall. Played nicely in right field by Gonzalez, but it's going to score a run and turn into an RBI double for Ketel Marte. This is a 5-3 game as Ahmed comes home.
And now the offense for the D-backs coming alive. I think they're probably excited to see Freeland out of the game now, just to get a different perspective, get somebody else. And this is coming with the latter half of the lineup too, so if they can get it turned over and get back to the front, can make a run at this lead.
Well, Bud Black told us this morning that Sungwon Oh is dealing with a hamstring issue, so we won't see him today. Chris Russin gave this team 2 innings yesterday. So did Scott Oberg. And Wade Davis pitched yesterday. So some of the more reliable arms lately have pitched a lot.
Well, this is what you're doing as a staff, right? So that bullpen holding that lead, or holding the runner at third earlier in the game, Bracho, with 1 out, keeps it at a 4-run game, and you continue to claw away with your offense, and here they are, they're right back in the game again.
And it's Ildemaro Vargas. A 1 to Vargas. He went around. He's behind 0-2. He spent most of the season in AAA. I actually was calling the AAA All-Star game, and he was featured in that contest.
And this is the chance to show the big league club, why you deserve this call up here in September, getting that bat in a big situation.
Just missed.
Yeah, generally the September call-ups, so these aren't the situations they get thrown into, but obviously shows the confidence of what the Rockies feel about him out there on the mound, bringing him into this situation.
One-two from Almonte. Jam shot. It's going to roll foul. Reinforcements. Harrison Musgrave from the left side. Adam Ottavino from the right side.
Amazing how quickly it goes, right? All hands on deck quick. Get Freeland come out of the game, and you know, all of a sudden you're double barrel down the bullpen, and it's a 2-run game.
Yeah, especially in as tight of a race this National League West is. Every one of these games is precious to these managers. So they're going to do everything that they can to get every out of this game, no matter which way they have to do it.
And the 1-2 on Monte gets Vargas for the second out.
Good slider on the plate down, swing and a miss. That was a big out.
I think in an ideal world, Bud Black would have seen Kyle Freeland at least get through the 7th inning, if not the 8th, and then go Ottavino and Wade Davis to close out the Diamondbacks. But I'm sure Kyle Freeland is going to talk about this after the game, that he had more bullets left, but he was favoring the calf. There he is, stretching it out.
Yeah, it had to be something where either they noticed it from the dugout or could tell just from everything that's happening that they're not going to take any chances, especially with the year that he's having and what he means to this team.
Yeah, and you just wonder whether that was on the mound or whether it was running the bases. I would venture to bet it was running the bases.
Yeah, he's certainly done a lot today, so there's no telling what could have happened.
Or maybe legging out the perfect bunt, too. You never know.
There's Jared. Good job, Kyle, and talking about how they need him for the rest of this season. They really do. Him and German Marquez have been carrying the staff. Two of the better pitchers in the second half of the season. Pollock bounced out to start the inning, and then 3 consecutive extra base hits for Arizona. Vargas just struck out as a pinch hitter. Another pinch hitter in Socrates Brito. The Diamondbacks do have David Peralta on their bench along with Daniel Descalso. We haven't seen either of them yet. Just like Bud Black is going with a youngster on the mound in a big spot in the middle of September, Torey Lovello is doing the same thing with some of his pinch hitters right now, saving some of his veterans or maybe just giving them a complete day off.
Yeah, especially Descalso is warming up in the on-deck circle, so when they actually decided to go with Brito, I was surprised they made that switch. Must have been at the last second.
Yeah, that's a nice frame job there too by Chris Iannetta. Almonte gets back-to-back strikeouts to escape here in the 7th. That's big stuff from Yancy Almonte, who's been really good in limited role for the Rockies this season. Let's stretch. Colorado 5, Arizona 3. MLB Live on Facebook. Watch in gorgeous Denver, Colorado. And let's go down to Jackie Redmond, who has more on Kyle Freeland today. Jackie?
Thank you, Scott. As you guys mentioned, Kyle Freeland all over this game, not just going 6 1/3 and pitching some pretty good stuff, but also that double, laying down the perfectly executed bunt, and then turning on the wheels and scoring all the way from first base. So obviously he can pitch, he can hit, but he's also a pretty good person too. Just a few weeks ago, he headed back to his elementary school, home elementary school, to meet 500 kids. And not just meet and greet and hang out, he also teamed up with Walmart to give away 500 backpacks filled with school supplies for these kids. He said it's really important to him to give back, especially to a school that's a special place in his heart, but he wants to take it even a step further than that, saying that years down the road he'd like to pick new schools, different schools, and give them school supplies so that kids can get the best education possible. So he can pitch, he can hit, and he's a good person too, Scott.
It's really the perfect person to have as a franchise cornerstone because of how good of a guy he is and how he's from the area. I mean, he checks off all of the boxes that you would want for a face of a franchise.
Absolutely, being only his 2nd year and to see what he can do on the mound, but yeah, having that connection to the community, being from here, is something you don't get to see a lot of times when major league teams. Someone might be from the area, but to be right here from Denver, to have grown up a Rockies fan and to now to play for them, I think he'll obviously see what it means to be able to give back, because he was probably one of those kids at some point that got to have some interaction with the Rockies or something along the way.
Yeah, those type of guys don't come around very often, and they're really lucky to have him. And I know my time here was fairly short as a player, but this organization has always been such a community-oriented organization, and they do a great job with their fan interaction and everything. He's #1 out there for the pitching side of it right now.
The talented core continues to grow for the Rockies with Kyle Freeland. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Oh, it's hot today. It's a suntan day. If you're on the left side of the ballpark, you're probably under the shade. If you're on the right side of the ballpark, well, you need one of those, I guess, if you're trying to avoid the sun and maybe bother your buddy at the game.
Yeah, it's definitely a roll up the sleeves, work on that tan, and you're taking in a great ball game. Those 2 runs by the D-backs in the top of the 7th draw this game a little bit closer.
New pitcher in the game. It's Jake Diekman from the left side, and he's working with John Ryan Murphy, new catcher for Arizona.
This cannot be a fun bat for left-handed hitters. You watch where he comes way across his body, slinging it to the other side of the plate. That's going to be difficult to pick up.
And that's past the pitcher, and it's a long run, but play is not made. Carlos Gonzalez is going to leg out an infield hit. Nick Ahmed had to move from the right side of the infield to the left and could not get to the baseball in time and put enough mustard on that throw.
Cargo's still running good. The somewhat old man getting down the line quick.
Yep.
Beat it out.
I think he does beat it out, yeah.
Here's another look. Oh, I don't know. I think they might have had him. No?
The first look, it looked like he was safe, but that look, I'm surprised they're not.
Yeah, they're going to challenge him. It looks like. Maybe. No.
No, they said okay.
Wow.
So Cargo is safe at first.
It's amazing how this replay has changed baseball, at least on the field. Any close play or anything, all the players are told, you know, take your time, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's get some confirmation of this before we move on.
That's a good look for us. Ball and glove for the bag. That's close.
Real close. Close enough that I'm surprised they didn't go out there and challenge it.
Oh, it does look like maybe the left foot hits the bag at the same time. Yeah, I would have liked to see it a few more times.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of different opinions on the replay part of the game, but in my opinion, if you're getting it right, let's get it right. So that, you know, especially when it comes to a playoff race or in the playoffs and in the World Series, let's get it right.
Samuel Ellis in the comment section. Good hustle, Cargo.
And that's the difference between being in the division race at this time and being 20 games back.
Well, and Carlos Gonzalez has been a veteran on this club for a long time, and he's lost some playing time lately to David Dahl, who's had a really hot week. Charlie Blackman sitting this afternoon, so that makes it easier in the playing time department. But Parra's out there. They have some options.
They do. They got some good firepower on the bench here with Holiday and, you know, Cargo on the days when he doesn't play. That's some pretty good guys to rely on, especially experience-wise.
This is a dangerous spot for Jake Diekman. 3 balls and a strike. Left-hander facing a righty bat.
And Cargo's really having a nice bounce back season. Even with maybe some limited playing time, he's putting together some nice numbers, providing a lot of good offense to this already talented Rockies lineup.
Did that hit him?
I think it just grazed him.
Yeah. Hit by pitch, Story to first. Carlos Gonzalez moves to second.
I was going to say there's a good chance we might see this guy pretty soon here. This is a matchup they're looking for. See Holiday against a lefty.
His name has popped up a number of times today in the comment section. Rockies fans love them some Matt Holiday.
Yeah, just listen to the crowd and look at the ovation just when his name's announced.
I got a chance to spend a little time with him yesterday in the clubhouse, and I haven't seen him in years, and he doesn't look like he's aged a minute since I saw him last time. He's still at 0% body fat, showing off the forearms up at the plate. He's a beast.
His OPS is above 1,000 so far this season. As a pinch hitter, he's 3 for 4 with a double and a homer. He was sitting at home for most of the baseball season. Signs a minor league contract with the Rockies. Spent a few weeks in the minor leagues. Showed everyone that he still belongs here with his bat. And is still showing us that.
That's a special level of talent, isn't it? At 38, I think. To be able to do that. Watch Netflix for 5 months and then show up in a pennant race.
And this is exactly what they have him for. Pinch hit against a lefty in a big situation. And it's nice when you can have that veteran presence off the bench. And I know a lot of managers like having someone that's going to give them a professional at bat when they go up there. It can be used in a big situation.
We saw him this morning. Glendon, did you ask him or Josh if he was starting today? And then he said, no, I'm a lefty specialist.
Yeah.
Off the bench.
Yeah, lefty specialist.
I hit lefties.
And you know, it really is by far one of the hardest jobs on the roster too, is to be a pinch hit guy or a utility player. That you just don't get that consistency of playing time. It really is hard, and to hop in, and you're going to face, you know, usually some of the best back end guys in the bullpen when you do get your chance to get out there.
He signed on July 28th. His contract was selected about a month later, August 23rd. Since then, he's 13 for 35 in the big leagues with a couple homers. "38 years old, his 15th season in the major leagues. And that's the first strike.
Diekman struggled with these righties so far, getting behind both Story and now Holiday 3-1 with another righty on deck.
Guarantee you Matty's going to be dialed up to get a fastball here.
He lost him. And the bags are full of Rockies for Ian Desmond.
And not the situation Arizona wanted after getting those runs. Get the momentum back on your side. You want your guy to go out there and put up a 0 quick, but a hit and then 2 walks, and all of a sudden you're in danger of giving the game right back to the Rockies.
Yeah, you always talk about the big shutdown inning. You know, that phrase everybody throws around is to, as soon as your team puts some runs up, go back out and put up a 0. And it can be mentally taxing when your team's not able to do that.
And that was something Freeland did so well after the Rockies put up that 2 spot. He went out there, boom, 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 was pounding the strike zone, got 3 quick outs right back in the dugout, let the team go back to hit. And that's exactly what Arizona was hoping they were going to get out of Diekman in this inning.
There's your pinch runner, Noel Cuevas.
There's probably some people at home saying, I'd love to have Matt Holliday's job, right? Go out and see 5 pitches. Now he's going to go sit in the hot tub, you know, and watch the rest of the game on TV. But
he's going to listen to us.
He's earned that one. He's earned that job.
Brad Boxberger being summoned for the Diamondbacks. He was their closer for the majority of the season. He lost the job heading into this series. A rough weekend. A blown save against the Atlanta Braves did the trick. We'll talk more about Boxberger here. In the bottom of the 7th, with the bases full of Rockies and nobody out, Colorado up by 2. Arizona fans, your team returns home Monday, September 17th to begin a crucial 9-game homestand against the Cubs, the Rockies, and the Dodgers. So head over to Chase Field when Goldschmidt and the Diamondbacks look to fight their way back to the postseason for a 2nd consecutive year. If you want to get there, get your tickets now at dbacks.com. After today for the Rockies, they're on the road, but then they come back home on Monday, September 24th. It's a homestand against the Phillies and the Nationals. You can come to Coors Field and see Arenado, Story, and Blackmon continue their pursuit of their first ever National League West title. You can get those tickets over at Rockies.com. Scott Braun, Josh Colmenter, Glendon Rush, MLB Live on Facebook Watch. And on to the bullpen again. This is a bullpen game because Clay Buchholz was supposed to start. We were very excited about the possibility of seeing him go against Kyle Freeland. Buchholz with an ERA at almost 2 flat. Instead, right elbow stiffness. He was scratched before the game began. Everyone was confused. We're waiting for Clay Buchholz to come out as we see Brad Boxberger warming up now. 7 blown saves, and the 7th one cost him his closer role. But we're waiting for Clay Buchholz to emerge from the bullpen. The game was already a few minutes behind, and he never appeared. Instead, it was Matt Cook, and it's been a bullpen game since then.
Yeah, and I mean, all those guys have, for the most part, done their job. They kept them in the game, and now it's up to these guys that are used to these situations and see if maybe they can right the ship. And here we see Cook coming in. We thought maybe Buchholz was getting a late start coming right out of the bullpen, but finally got word that they had switched over and Matt Cook was going to get the start.
Carlos Gonzalez on third. That's Story on second. He was hit by a pitch, and Matt Holliday walked and then was replaced by pinch runner Noel Cuevas.
This is the type of game to me, if you're the D-backs, that if you're able to sneak your way out of this inning and come back and win a game like this, this is kind of what can get that momentum going the other way, and that's what they need.
Well, Ian Desmond craves bases loaded situations. 376 lifetime with the bases loaded. And this season, 5 for 9 with 12 RBIs in those spots.
So if you're the Rockies, you couldn't pick a better guy to be at the plate right now.
He has a chance to break open this lead for Colorado. It was 5-1. The Diamondbacks fight for 2. And Arizona fans are used to watching Brad Boxberger pitch in the 9th this season. He misses low.
And you wonder what he's thinking coming in this situation. He's used to maybe having a clean inning, coming in the 9th, nobody on. Now all of a sudden he sees himself in the bottom of the 7th, the bases loaded situation. Complete change of perception there.
Yeah, those 6th, 7th, 8th inning guys that come in with traffic on base all the time. That's a difficult job.
Well, if this was the middle of the season and the Diamondbacks bullpen wasn't in shambles, you could say Brad Boxberger in the 7th inning when we have a large lead and there's nobody on base. Instead, he is thrown right into the fire. This is a tougher task than pitching in the 9th.
I think so, yeah. And maybe this is something that gets him jump started and maybe helps turn the corner for the last couple weeks for this bullpen, because they're going to have a couple more arms come out of there by the time this game's over.
Ball 4, 6-3 Rockies. There's Carlos Gonzalez scoring. Story to third and Cuevas to second.
Such a difficult position to be in as a pitcher, right? Everybody's watching saying, how hard is it really to throw a strike? But, in that situation, he's trying to make a quality pitch. Last thing he wants to do is give up a ball in the gap, or let alone a grand slam. And, he's trying to make a good pitch and just missed.
Torey Lovullo was a good sport with us this morning, but this is a really tough time for his bullpen. Brad Boxberger looking for the strike zone here.
Yeah, those are tough questions to answer when you're a manager. You got to always be positive and support your guys. But man, it's been a rough go for them lately.
He's used Brad Ziegler a ton. He mentioned that he's trying to avoid him today. Yoshi Hirano pitched the last 2 days.
And that's the thing as a manager in that situation. If you have 1 or 2 guys that are going good, you try to ride them as much as you can. But when eventually you're going to have to rest those, so then you're going to have to go to guys that have been struggling, and you get put in a situation like this.
Another arm missing. TJ McFarland actually flew back to Arizona this morning. He's dealing with some elbow inflammation, so they wanted to check him out.
On a lighter note, he did have, I think, by far the best jersey, right, on Players Weekend.
He did.
That was, yeah,
that was my favorite.
That was a good one.
No words, just emojis. A box and a hamburger. Charlie Blackmon on deck. It's not going to get easier.
No.
And that's to a glove. No other play to make for Paul Goldschmidt. One out, that's what you want. So Chris Iannetta is retired. Here comes Charlie Blackmon with the bases loaded. It looks like the Diamondbacks will go with Andrew Chafin.
Not official, but second best hair on the team right now, according to Gray. Close second, I think.
Yeah, Charlie's had that look going for a few years now.
I remember that was a big thing my rookie year in '97. I had watched kind of through the early and mid '90s, man, the mullet and the guys having the flow, and I was like, I got to do that. That's a good look. And then I wore it out there for a little bit, and it didn't look so good, so it was gone quick.
Yeah, Charlie's certainly been committed to it. He's definitely endeared himself to the fans here in Denver.
Yeah, they love it. He's such a grinder and a constant hustler, and guy, fans love that. They love to see guys, no matter what their position is, just out there busting their tail every day.
It's just so hot out. I'm sure he's feeling it. Just like the Diamondbacks bullpen has been feeling the heat this month. The first half of the season was a dream for them from their relief pitchers, and their starting pitching was eating innings. You would think preserving this bullpen for a late run, but no, they've gone through a slump, and many of the relievers at the same time have experienced difficulties. And that's why the ERA since the All-Star break is 13th in the National League. Second half of the season, Brad Boxberger's ERA close to 8. Archie Bradley's ERA 8.05. Yoshi Hirano had been a bright spot up until yesterday. Before that, 1 earned run in 16 innings, but yesterday enters the game trying to string together back-to-back saves, and DJ LeMahieu clocks a home run to right field to win it. 5-4 Colorado yesterday. Here's Andrew Chafin now. Charlie Blackmon with the bases loaded this season is 0 for 8. I don't know if I would be excited about that if I was the pitcher on the mound right now, because he could be due. Last 15 games against Arizona, successful.
And that's what Chafin's done all year, is come in and face the top lefty in everybody's lineup. So this is no different for him.
And the first pitch is swing and a miss. That's big, because yesterday he came into the game, faced just one batter, walked him, and then was taken out for Archie Bradley. Day before that, into the game, 2 batters faced, 2 walks, and Brad Ziegler ended up finishing off the inning with the bases loaded. Chip shot, left center field. It's going to fall. That'll score 1, make it 2 RBIs for Charlie Blackmon. It is 7-3 Colorado.
That's that real estate that we were talking about. A lot of room for that ball to drop out there. He didn't hit it great, but in a good spot, drives in two.
Make it 8-3. Blackman bringing home Trevor Story along with Cuevas.
Chafin with back-to-back sliders. I mean, you can see that one was almost on the dirt. And really all Blackman did was just throw his hands at it, get enough of the end of the bat on it to drop it into left center.
And that slider was going to hit his feet maybe.
Yeah.
It's another one. There's nothing you can do sometimes. You make a good pitch and guys are good hitters.
Especially after seeing and being fooled on the first one. Probably maybe just a little bit hesitant there that it might be coming again that second time.
David Dahl has a base hit back in the first. He doubled in the fourth. Sidney Terrell said could have used a sand wedge there.
That's almost what it looked like. Took that ball right off the turf.
Yeah. A little Mickelson fade to it.
From Mike, professional hit right there. Dahl's behind 0-2. And he's swinging, gets it past the right side. RBI hit David Dahl. Desmond scores. It's 9-3 Colorado.
That's just a slider that stays up right there.
Yep.
With that count. Definitely trying to bury it and just leaves it over the plate. Gives Dahl something to swing at.
This is not what you're looking for, right? If you're trying to kind of get your bullpen back on track and you have an inning like this where it, goes sideways on you.
Eighth batter of the inning, DJ LeMahieu. Still just one out.
And generally this is always what happens. There's always a good pitch here or there that's mixed in an inning like this and the guy drops one in and keeps the inning going.
Off the end of the bat, base hit. That's what DJ LeMahieu does. Goes the other way, brings in Charlie Blackman, and the Rockies are in double digits this afternoon. It's 10-3.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do with it. I mean, he couldn't have rolled it into a better spot. He doesn't put a good swing or get much of it at all. But when things are going this way, it seems like those are the breaks that you never get.
That's what guys that win batting titles do right there. They get a bunch of those hits during the year at some point.
Yeah.
They hit a lot of them hard that are outs too.
And LeMahieu's one of the best in the league at going the other way. So that's all he's trying to do right there. And got a pitch way off the plate and just able to get enough of the bat on it to hit it through the right side.
You can see the frustration too on the D-back side. This is just one of those innings that goes like this and there's nothing you can do. It happens and sometimes you just have to move on.
Dahl at third, LeMahieu at first, and Andrew Chafin will remain in the game.
And for the D-backs, you have to feel a little bit of, oh, here we go again with these bullpen woes, especially on a day that they had to use the bullpen the entire time, so you knew a lot of those guys were going to have to throw. Maybe give them a chance to right the ship, and it's gone the wrong direction.
Frustrating when there's no end in sight either. You look down the lineup that you keep having to face. It's one after another guy that can hurt you.
This is an interesting point from David Tessler in the comment section here. Just said, now we can safely say, quote, What negative run differentials? That's been a storyline with Colorado this year. Arenado against Chafin. It's 0-1. Now 0-2. So the Rockies entered this game being outscored on the season. -2 was their run differential. There's Arenado and the damage he's done against left-handed pitchers this season. Absolutely crushes southpaws this year. But the Rockies are now in the positive. Everyone said, you can't be a team that's being outscored and make the playoffs. Nice job by Andrew Chafin to recover there and get Arenado. He'll face Carlos Gonzalez next. In fact, the last team to make the postseason with a negative run differential, the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2007, were a -20 on the year. It just does not happen very often. And the Rockies, at least for now, can safely say, we're in the positive.
Especially for a team that can put up runs like this lineup can. You would not expect for there to be a negative run differential, which I guess there's not anymore.
Yeah, maybe to throw a little silver lining in there, there's something to be said for winning a bunch of close games too, right? And that's what really plays in the playoffs, because they're gonna be in close games in the playoffs.
And comment below, what does run differential mean to you if you're into the statistic or not? I mean, for me personally, especially with the way that we see position players take over in games, I've seen way too many games where suddenly 8-2 turns into 16-2 or something. And
yeah.
What does that really mean? Is that helping to tell the story for the team? Sometimes, but not always.
Or even in situations like this where the team's running out of arms in the bullpen, you're seeing teams go more often. Glenn and I talked about this earlier, to just let a position player go out there and throw. So all of a sudden a position player goes out there and gives up 5 or 6 runs or something, and that score gets blown way out of proportion, like you were saying.
Gonzalez to center, and the inning comes to a close here. A long one for Colorado, a 5 spot and a 10-3 edge over the Arizona Diamondbacks as they wrap up their 4-game series today. And they're well on their way to taking this series 3 out of 4, which would say a lot in their quest for the postseason, to not only work on eliminating the Diamondbacks from division contention, but also fending off the Dodgers, which is going to be difficult. A little kick for the Rockies at the end of August, coming from their 38-year-old veteran. August 23rd, welcome back Matt Holliday. 7-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger. And 2 days later, with this monster home run. He has a couple on the season. He's been a pinch hitter often against left-handed bats. Other homecomings, like Willie McCovey. His first 15 seasons with the Giants and then returned 77 to 1980. Tom Seaver, 11 years with the Mets. And then he's back opening day in 1983. Also, Pete Rose, 16 seasons with Cincinnati, and he moved around a bit and returned as a player manager in 1984, 85, and 86. And Gary Carter, 11 seasons with the Montreal Expos. Obviously had some good times with the Mets, but his final season in 1992 was back with Montreal. Greg Maddux, the Hall of Famer, starting off his career with the Cubs, and then back to Chicago for 3 more seasons. Ken Griffey Jr., 11 seasons with the Mariners, that big trade to Cincinnati, and then back to Seattle in 2009 and 2010. One more. No, that's it. That's all I have. The last one is Matt Holliday right now. 2007, actually, the National League MVP runner-up with Colorado, and the 2007 NLCS MVP. Holliday with the walk. Noel Cuevas replaced him on the base paths and also now in the outfield.
You could see even just today the ovation that the fans gave him. He's clearly loved here. I'm sure they were happy to see his familiar face back on the team and in the batter's box.
That historic run they had in 2007, you know, down the stretch and going to the World Series, this place was out of control, Rockies, and he was a huge part of it. Great to see all those other you know, Hall of Fame type players, a few of them in the Hall of Fame that made big homecomings.
This is Harrison Musgrave against John Jay. Top 8.
Yeah, we got to see a couple this year, even with Chase Utley going back and not really a homecoming, but returning to Philadelphia for the last time, the ovation they gave him. So you get to see that a lot, where guys go back, and a lot of times the team that they play will nice video tribute or something like that, just to recognize what they did for them while they were playing for that team.
Andrew McCutcheon was kind of a big deal in Pittsburgh.
He was. I got to see one of those in person. I was actually there all 3 years with Maddox in Chicago when he came back, and what a pleasure to be his teammate and watch what he did every day. It was a special thing to see. I got to see his 3,000th strikeout, his 300th win, and hopefully pick a few tidbits of knowledge here and there while he was doing his thing. It was incredible to watch.
Up the middle for John Jay, and that's a base hit. Eduardo Escobar coming up next.
And especially seeing that with guys who started their career somewhere, played for a long time, you know, grew up with the fans who grew up with that person, watched them as they progressed in their career, and then to be able to come back and maybe one final hurrah for that home fan base.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was never good enough. All 6 of the cities I played in, they never let me back. So I didn't get to have any kind of tribute like that.
I was much the same, but I guess we got the tribute today, and just getting to parade around and see some of the people that still work for the Diamondbacks and the Rockies respectively that still remember us from our playing days.
They miss you guys.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I think we each punched out maybe 2 or 3 guys on the intro today. That was fun to watch.
We had to dig deep for those, I think.
Hey, getting back to our run differential conversation, Burns said it's win-loss differential that counts, not run differential.
Great point there.
You know, another one that popped into my head is Tim Raines coming back to Montreal, back to the Expos. I happened to be pitching that game, and I remember that being one of the loudest ovations I've ever heard. You know, obviously being in an indoor stadium, and he talked about that being probably the loudest moment he had ever come to the plate, and I was a part of it. So I think I ended up walking him too, so I probably got in my head a little bit, but it's pretty cool.
'29th appearance this season for Harrison Musgrave. His 2-2 to Escobar. Popped up. LeMahieu makes the long run into shallow right field.
Another good job there by Musgrave, getting in on the hands again. We've seen it a lot today.
Yeah, and I wonder if that was a game plan by the Rockies pitching staff in general against the Diamondbacks. A lot of those guys that have come in, they just keep going in on a lot of those hitters.
Musgrave against Goldschmidt.
Kind of an interesting little shadow setup out there right now too, with the shadows of the light standards coming across in front of the mound. Sometimes it's tough to pick up spin for the hitters.
Yeah, that does not look fun right now for a batter. Goldschmidt is dealing with the sun, but then the mound is shaded off.
Yeah, even just playing catch, if you're playing catch coming from the light to the dark, it's hard to pick up, let alone a guy throwing that hard and the ball moving. You can definitely use that to your advantage as a pitcher.
And they just did.
Another jam shot.
Yeah.
Got in on those hands again.
Arenado to LeMahieu to Desmond. Double play ball off Goldschmidt. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. Rockies up 10-3, and Trevor Story will lead off the 8th inning for Colorado. Most home runs by shortstops in their first 3 seasons in the big leagues. He added to this total today. 84 for Trevor. Well, he has lapped the field and then some. Nomar Garcia-Parra next, then Carlos Correa. His first 3 seasons from 2015 through 2017. He's breaking records all over the place. Since StatCast began in 2015, that is the longest home run we have seen. 505 feet. Back on September 5th, he cleared the seats. That baseball was heading to who knows where. What if StatCast existed, though, back in 1991?
That would be fun to see. This is when some of those stadiums existed that you could actually hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, Plesac will love that one. That one's only been shown about 1,000 times.
Cecil Fielder off Dan Plesac. Jose Canseco in ALCS Game 4. We're putting that at 448.
So
wow.
when they hit it where the camera can't even follow it, you know it went pretty far.
You're not even going to find out where this one lands. So the home run distance for Bonds here in 02 in the World Series should actually go to maybe infinity. 485 at least.
Yeah, with an asterisk next to that one. Could be much further.
Yeah.
Which historic home run would you want to see tracked by StatCast? Let us know. I like that. That's where Trevor Story hit the baseball.
How about the Mark McGuire off the big unit back in the Kingdom? That one I'd like to see tracked. That was a good one.
Or even that infamous one that Ted Williams supposedly hit. They have that red chair at Fenway. I think they move it back a couple rows every year, it seems like.
I gave up one to McGuire the year he hit 70 in Busch Stadium, and it went over Big Mac land. He robbed the people of the free Big Macs because he hit it over. That was a long one too.
You should get double Big Macs if you go over. Just doesn't happen often. Fries in a shake too. Yan Lopez pitching for Arizona. We saw him in Game 1 of this series on Monday. Recorded 1 out. And that was after his debut on Sunday against the Braves. 8 pitches, 3 hits, 3 runs. But he's got stuff.
You can see the live fastball there. And this could be a chance where come in, make some good pitches, and you could see yourself in some more situations down the stretches. Arizona continues to try to sort out this bullpen.
We'll get some answers here on which home run you would want to see StatCast track. Jeff Smith, McGuire in the Kingdom, or Mantle off the facade at Yankee Stadium. Jeremy, Andres Galarraga in Florida, furthest ball I've ever seen. Chris, also Big Cats homer in Florida. BA, I want to see a Babe Ruth home run on StatCast.
I just had another one pop into my head. Glenn Allen Hill with his half swing that ended up in the across the street at Wrigley. That was
hit it in, like off the
one of the
deck
rooftops
over there. Yeah.
Well, if we're making things up, we might as well say, how long would it have gone if it was a full swing? 2-2. Nice pitch from Lopez. Goes off speed and gets Trevor Story for the first out.
That video, Glenn Allen looks more like he should be playing football, not standing up there with a bat in his hands. That'd be intimidating for the pitcher to look at.
By far the most votes we've seen. Obviously, Rockies fans loving this game right now and voting for Andres Galarraga and that home run at Joe Robbie Stadium against the Marlins years back. There's a vote from Genevieve. Jason Giambi's moonshot as a Rocky to the third deck. That's in the air in the sun for Ketel Marte, now racing in. Wynn took it for a ride back towards the infield. And now Ian Desmond up next.
Yeah, if I remember right, that Galarraga blast ended up up in the tarp where they, close the seats off in the last rows of the stadium because they're not using them. That was a long one.
A few votes for Jim Thome from Mac. Jim Thome out of the stadium in Cleveland, center field. Pedro, Joe Carter to win the 1992 World Series. Amazing home run.
It'd be interesting to see StatCast on some inside the park home runs. See what was the shortest ball ever hit that turned into a home run.
That's a good point. That's a strike to Desmond.
How was your swing, Josh? Were you did you have a good any good stat cast come up on your swipes up there at the plate?
I don't think my swing was fast enough to register on StatCast. That, and you had to make contact for something to record. I was much like LeMahieu's last hit there. Just try to get a little bit of the bat on it, and maybe it'll sweep through.
Yeah, hit
between first base and second base.
Hit it soft enough so you don't have to hustle.
Yeah.
The 1-2. That's in there from Lopez. Yan Lopez goes strikeout swinging, pop out to second, strikeout looking, and we head to the ninth. Here's a question, and I know Rockies fans are taking over the comment section right now. Is Nolan Arenado still the best defensive third baseman in Major League Baseball? Why do I ask? Well, if you are on the East Coast and you go to sleep early, or if you just watch National League games, you might be missing Matt Chapman of the Oakland A's.
Does momentum come from defense? Maybe it does. Tough play for Arenado with the bare hand.
And that is going to be caught by Chapman.
We've seen backhand. We've seen the one where he has to go to his left and spin.
Oh, he made the play. I didn't think he was going to get it. And a fine effort there by Chapman.
And his pure arm strength all the way back across.
Oh, the ball's hit toward Chapman. Chapman dives. He's got it. He gets up. His throw to first is in time.
Nolan Arenado with a remarkable effort to turn two.
Liner caught at third. Chapman timed that lead perfectly to take one away.
Another big league play by Arenado.
He just has a great mind for the game.
That is a fair ball. Chapman's got it. Chapman's throw across the diamond. Are you kidding me?
That internal clock about how fast, how can I go tonight? Just watch. This is just absolute poetry in motion.
That's it. I wanted more. I mean, that's fun to watch. Nolan Arenado and Matt Chapman. Who's the best defensive third baseman in baseball right now? It was quite easy to answer that question for a few seasons, but doesn't Matt Chapman make it difficult now?
Yeah, seeing those plays side by side, very similar players. I mean, both able to range, make plays diving to the right or to the left, and both have a strong enough arm that they can get up and throw it across the diamond.
I was fortunate enough to see him in 2015 during my coaching stint with the Padres in Stockton, and my manager at the time, Michael Collins, and I thought he was an all-star in the making, seeing him in A-ball. So you know, to say I was surprised to see what he's doing now, not at all. He really is a great defensive player.
And credit to him, because it's good just to be in the same conversation as Arenado. As good as he's been over these last 4 or 5 years, it's no question that he's at the top of the list for third baseman.
Chad Bettis working the 9th inning for Colorado against A.J. Pollock.
Yeah, anytime you come up, I think, as a young player like he is, and people start putting you in a conversation with a perennial all-star Gold Glove guy, I think you got to be pretty happy.
You have to be pretty happy if you went to El Toro High School in Lake Forest, California. That's your story. One away. Nolan Arenado attended that high school. So did Matt Chapman. Two best third base defenders on the planet went to the same high school.
We got a good guy hitting fungos there. I don't know who it is, but somebody better give him some credit.
Jules said, from the clips, I would say Arenado is just a hair better. Brian, how many Gold Gloves does Chapman have again? Enough said. Well, Arenado has a few seasons on him. That's going to get through the right side. Base hit for Steven Souza Jr. and a 1-out base runner for Arizona.
Yeah, it's going to be hard and pressed to find Rockies fans voting the other way if Arenado's in the question.
Yeah, I'm going to look for one.
These are always tough innings as a reliever, right? You come in, you got a big lead. Hey, get an inning of work, finish out the game. But you know those other guys are still grinding, trying to get back in this game, and it can be a difficult task at times.
Yeah, some guys I know would always say their mindset changed if they're out here just to score and everything like that. I always thought anytime a hitter's in the box, it was hard to get out of that.
And the Rockies turn 2. For a moment, it looked like Story was just going to carry himself to first base, running throw to first, but instead they go to second, get the double play over at first, and make it a nice, quick inning of work for Chad Bettis. This game's done. The Rockies take it 10-3 over the Diamondbacks, and 3 out of 4 in this series this week against Arizona. Colorado improves to 81-65 on the year. Their division lead is now 2 games over Los Angeles. The Diamondbacks fall to 77-70. There it is one more time from Story. Yeah, why not? I'll go for second. And then we'll watch that arm from LeMahieu. And got him.
And a fitting way to end it. I mean, the Rockies were in charge most of this game. Several double plays, the defense, the offense, the pitching. They kind of had it all today. It's how you would draw up a game if you could.
So here's what we're going to do. Trevor Story is going to join us very soon on MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Jackie Redmond will ask him questions. And then any questions that we didn't get to, whether you had them about the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, questions personally for Josh Colmenter or Glendon Rush about their career or anything they saw today, we'll answer all of that. Follow @ScottBraun on Instagram. And then top left corner of your screen, I'm live already, so you can watch us in the booth for a couple minutes while we listen to Trevor Story, and then we'll answer all the questions that we didn't get to. Jackie Redmond has questions for Trevor Story right now. Jackie?
Thank you, Scott. Trevor, we meet again. We talked before this game about the importance of individual accomplishments are nice, but it's all about winning games. With just a couple of weeks left on this season, you're in the division lead. How big of a win was this game in particular?
It was big, you know, especially coming off last night, such an emotional win. Just trying to ride the momentum into today, and we did that. So, yeah, let's try to keep it going.
I saw Kyle had another amazing start for you guys, but he impacted this game all over the field today. A double, a sack, or excuse me, a bunt, and then scoring all the way from first. Can you just talk about what he brings to this team day in and day out?
Man, he's incredible. He, you know, he's such a competitor. He's a bulldog. You know, he brings that attitude to the staff, and every time he goes out there, I feel like we win. So he gave us a great chance to win today. You know, fought his tail off. You know, he's been doing that all year, so I'm glad he's on our team.
Yeah, I bet. All right, one more for you. The crowd was very into this game today. The comments on Facebook were unbelievable. It's clear that Rockies fans are very excited. What do you think a division title would mean to this city?
It'd be awesome. You know, it'd be really special. You know, we've never had that here, so obviously a first for anything is awesome. And yeah, hopefully we can do it.
Congratulations on another big game, and thanks for this.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jackie, and thanks, Trevor. Your team is 2 games up on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League West. First place Colorado seeking their first ever division title. This franchise, born in 1993, never had made it to back-to-back postseason appearances either, so seeking that as they were in the wild card game last year. The Diamondbacks fall 4.5 games out, and they're also 4.5 games away from a wild card position at the moment. MLB Live on Facebook Watch returns on Tuesday, another installment in one of baseball's most storied rivalries. We're going to head to the Bronx for the opener of a 3-game series between the Red Sox and the Yankees. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern time. For Josh Colmenter, Glendon Rush, and Jackie Redmond, I'm Scott Braun saying goodbye only for now. Join us on Instagram. Follow @ScottBraun, SCOTTBRAUN, and we'll take all of your questions that we didn't get to for the next 10 minutes. Otherwise, have a great day.